Happy Monday, everybody. Sorry for the weird start. I didn't realize when I started my Streamlabs that Instagram was linked to it, and then it gave me an invalid code, and then I forgot to reset it, and it went back and tried to. It did like the Pam Bondi hearing is the title, so I apologize. Get a little closer. That lighting's weird. So sorry for that, and I'll fix where I am in the camera here real quick, and we're off to the races. No Jen today, so that's what happened. I know. Let's see if I can fix that darkness with if that lights it up a little bit. There we go. Is that a little better? Usually I'm closer, I think. My Streamlabs told me the Dow was over 50,000. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's all that matters. As long as the Dow is up, everything else is good. Sorry I missed you guys last week. Had some stuff come up on Thursday and Friday, and it honestly feels like I haven't talked to you in like a month. It was a very long weekend. I a little bit addressed that in the Discord. So if you're wondering, you guys know I don't share a lot about my personal life. So shared a little bit. I appreciate a lot of you guys for reaching out this last week. It means a lot to me. I know I didn't get back to most of you, and that's kind of normal for me. I apologize. I'll try to get back to most of you, but did not want to be on the internet at all this last weekend. So, but now we're back. Thought I got nabbed by ice. Look at my skin. I'm too fair complected to get caught by ice, and I don't go anywhere. Those are the two main reasons ice never fucks with me. But now it looks like the Trump administration is going to get access to everything I say online anyways. So as they're searching our profiles now for any anti-Trump or anti-ice rhetoric, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool country we live in. Fuck freedom, you know? Good morning to all you heathens. Thank you, Mama Rara. Appreciate it. I will try and be really good about the super chats, PayPal and Venmos today, or PayPal and Cash App. Jen is off, but she is going to allegedly send messages as those come in. So if you do send it to Jen, let me get her texts up here too. If you do send to Jen, that will be fine as well. It just might be on a little bit of a delay. Ice is not at the golf course. That's right. No golf. I did play golf on Saturday morning. Saturday morning. Yeah, I played Saturday morning. Then I had my daughter all weekend. So thank you guys. It's good to be back. Let's get the show going. And I will even remember to switch screens over here so that you're going to have some stuff. And so Hoodie told me to give it up on one of my... I saw that comment from Hoodie. Give it up, Jay. We're right. You're wrong. Hoodie, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you, man. I don't know how you're watching. I don't know how you're watching this. I sent some pizzas to the place you used to live. Patrick, that's not very funny, man. That's honestly not very funny at all. The people that live there are pretty freaked out about that, and that sucks to do to people. But I know you're trying to make a joke. Hopefully you're trying to make a joke, but that fucks with people. Let's not fuck with people. Let's not be assholes just in general. That'd be cool. Full troll mode today. Hoodie doesn't know and he gets wrecked anyways. It doesn't matter. All right, let's kick it off with our favorite pollster, Harry Enton, just to get the folks complaining about CNN and fake news off to a start. Let's look at some polling numbers. First on the Democratic Party, and this is I'll have some more to add to this. Did I put it in the right spot? Yeah, I did. Okay.
The results from that special election, that Democratic primary in the 11th District in New Jersey, speak to a larger point within the Democratic Party, and that is that the far left...
Now, we're on Twitch today. Twitch is here. I started, and then I had to start over, so you may have seen a Twitch stream and then no Twitch stream, but I see Twitch chatters here, so we're here.
Is significantly more powerful than they once were. This sort of gives the game away here. Democrats who identify as very liberal or conservative. You know, there used to be a lot of conservative Democrats, right? Back in 1999, 26% of Democrats self-identified as conservative. Just 5% said that they were very liberal. It was a smidgen. Now that far left has gained considerably in power. Look at this. Now we're talking about a fifth of Democrats. 21% say they're very liberal. That conservative part of the Democratic Party, adios amigos, goodbye, just 8%. And when you combine the 21% who are very liberal with those who say that they're somewhat liberal, we're talking about 3 in 5 Democrats who identify as either somewhat liberal or very liberal, with the very liberals a much larger portion of the party. The far left, which used to just be a smidgen within the Democratic Party, has gained considerable power, as you saw in New Jersey's 11th district.
What about Democratic socialists, like the likes of, you've got Bernie Sanders and or Zohran Mamdani here in New York City? Where does that line up?
Okay, so on a separate question where you essentially, CNN asked this.
I think a lot of people were alarmed by these numbers. I'm not alarmed by these numbers at all. And I'm actually encouraged by these numbers. And I think that there's going to be pundits. I've seen already the more moderate Democrats who are going to say this is scary, like this isn't good. We've seen polling, obviously, that says that here that 58% of voters think that the Democratic Party is too liberal. I am not discouraged by this. I'm encouraged by this, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Last year, which was, okay, Democrats who think of themselves as democratic socialists, among all Democrats, including those independents who lean towards the Democratic Party. Look at this. We're talking about a third of all Democrats who identify as democratic socialists. Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani are not alone. They are a considerable part of the Democratic base at this point. And more than that, if you look at Democrats under the age of 35, they are nearly half of the Democratic Party. Look at this. 42% of Democrats think of themselves as democratic socialists under the age of 35, just like Zohran Mamdani. That, what happened in New York City, is not some aberration, right? It is not something that just happened in New York City. It is something that we are seeing grow within the Democratic Party at this particular point when we're talking about 42% of Democrats.
I was with my Republican friends this weekend golfing on Saturday morning. Cue the anger about my Republican friends, and I got put in a group of. I played with a guy that I didn't really know very well, another guy that I've gotten to know, and then there's a guy that I used to play golf with for years, and I didn't know him well at all. I didn't know anything about his personal life, but we got paired together and we were riding together, and I was just asking him questions like about his life. He's married, no kids. And then I was like, what do you guys do? Like, you're both retired. What do you do? How do you spend your time? I was like, what does your wife like to do? And he said, well, she just loves concerts. And I was like, oh, okay. Who does she like? Like, what concerts does she like? What kind of music? He's like, well, she loves Pink. Her favorite artist is Pink. And I was like, oh. It's like, loves Bad Bunny. Who else did she say? And I was like, oh, so like, and I said, do you go? He's like, yeah. I was like, a lot of powerful women you're going and seeing. He's like, yeah, that's how we are in our house. And that was like kind of a clue to me. That was a little hint that maybe this guy's not a Republican. Everybody around here is Republican. And as we kept talking, like I didn't really broach it. I'm very careful about that around those friends. I try and talk about ideas versus politics and see if we can connect on ideas rather than like, oh, you're a Republican, you're MAGA, fuck you. So I was kind of trying to do that, and it was funny. There was like 3 holes left, and I do not even remember how this conversation came up. I wish that I could. And he said something like, it's very strange to be like labeled far left. He's like, I don't understand how this happened, but I've been just like middle of the road my entire life. And now I'm like a far left radical fundamentalist because I just don't think we should throw people in concentration camps. I think that we should pay for schools, and I think people should have health care that is affordable. And I was like, oh, shit, this is who he was. But even like those people who live amongst the MAGA and who have never viewed themselves as far left, now they're realizing like far left is just like if you have any compassion or any empathy at all. Like if you can look at something that the government is doing and recognize that it's hurting people and say that's bad, that now puts you in the far left. And I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people this weekend. I had a lot of different phone calls with people I haven't talked to in a long time, including my parents. And I've told you guys about this. And I apologize today in advance if I get emotional at any point. But I've tried to mend some fences this weekend and restore some relationships. And I was talking to my mom, and you guys all know how I've felt about my parents and their politics. I've even, I wanted her to watch the stream. I don't remember what stream it was. And we were talking, and I just told her, like, I said, one of the frustrating parts about the life that I've lived is that when I was a Republican, you guys all loved that I was a Republican. I was a member of your church. I'm trying not to say cult, so just in case they're watching, but I was a member of your church. You loved it. You all respected me. I was a Republican. You loved it. You all respected me. And none of you knew a goddamn thing about politics, but you came to me for your views because you didn't really care that much. But as soon as my views changed, I got abandoned. And I told her, I was like, that's the hardest part about all of this, is that in the last 10 years, I've evolved politically, but I've also evolved as a human. And it's been bizarre to watch what I view is like my the best version of myself, which I do believe. Like, I believe at 40 years old, this is the best version of myself. I've done a lot of work. I have empathy. I feel like I can see clearly past political stuff and view humanity. And that I'm proud of that. I'm proud of like those steps. And I think a lot of you guys probably feel the same way, that you've made a lot of strides in your life. And what I told her is, I said, what sucks is that during this time, as I made these changes, that's when the people around me rejected me. That's when the people around me were like, we can't have this. And I've kind of realized that I think a lot of the divide is simple. And it's more simple than we think. The divide is holding up a mirror to somebody. That's the divide. You hold up a mirror and you say, look what you're supporting. And they have two choices: admit it or entrench. And most people, because of pride, are going to entrench. And it was interesting because she let me say all that. And I told her, me and my dad had a huge, we haven't talked in a very long time. And she said, well, I just want you to know that there's not a human being on earth that your dad despises more than Donald Trump. She said, I can't stand the guy. I voted for him 3 times. Said, it infuriates your dad who this man is. And that was fucking shocking to me. Fucking shocking to me. And I'm watching people's relationships change. Like, Donald Trump has ruined a lot of relationships, the support for him. But now I'm watching like these MAGA folks, not even like going left, but just turning on Trump and watching those fray. And the divide is moving further and further away from Trump. The group that's supporting him is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And what's left is what we have here in the chat every day. And people I just had a friend send me a bunch of pictures from Florida where they are, you got a bunch of people like, not even protesting, like, honk if you love ICE. Who the fuck is like, honk if you love the Gestapo? Yay, Gestapo. But it was alarming to me and made me feel good. And I think that perhaps if we can have those conversations, there might be more people than we realize in our lives that have turned on Donald Trump and on this, whatever the fuck we want to call it. I don't even want to call it a movement anymore. Just like death cult. And so maybe that helps some of you, maybe not. Maybe there's some people you might consider like, I never really talked to them, but we've fallen away from each other. It might be time to reach out to some of those people. Do I think I'll ever speak to my father again? I hope so. I hope so. I would like to.
That's under the age of 35, identifying as Democratic Socialists, and 1/3 of all Democrats. My goodness gracious.
So if the ideology of the Democratic Party is shifting or changing, how are people feeling about it?
Okay, so we're talking about the Democratic base, right? But what about all Americans, right? How about all voters? Voters who say the Democrats are now too liberal. Look at this percentage. It was 42% in 96, 48% in 2013, now 58% in 2025 of all voters say that the Democrat.
Bob, I appreciate you saying that, Bob. Wishful thinking on your part. We're stronger than ever. Yeah, cool. Except for if you look at any poll. If you look at any poll, if you look at elections, if you look at any indicator that would show, would be able to like give you a number of how strong you are, every single poll says you're fucked. So like you are who we're talking about, by the way. Like you're the entrenched person. You're the one who's like, no, this is all still good, and everybody sees it like I see it. I don't think you're winning that battle, bud.
Party is too liberal. The Democrats are moving to the left. The far left is gaining power, and there could be some electoral repercussions because what we see right now is voters, the clear majority, say that they are too liberal.
Then where are the repercussions? This is a Washington Post source. This is their poll. I'm not saying that the poll is wrong. I'm saying that the poll doesn't seem to line up with how elections have been going. There's like a parallel that you can draw here. In 2016, most Republicans, when you polled them, said Donald Trump was a bad guy. bad leader, too far right, potentially. JD Vance called him Hitler. Marco Rubio called him a con man. Ted Cruz said he was I believe, a white nationalist. That's what it said there too. And what happened? All those people capitulated. All those people fell in line. Look what happened in New York with Mamdani. Started out, he's running his campaign. They're like, yeah, right, a fucking democratic socialist. How's that going to work out? Whoops. He won the DNC nomination handily, and then he won the general. And now people are really liking what he's doing. People who never thought they would say, like, I would vote for a democratic socialist. People who didn't identify with that. Again, one of the big issues that we have in this country is people don't understand what socialism is. And so even when it's in front of them and it seems like a good idea compared to where they're at, they're not going to hold to like, oh, I'm afraid of socialism. Asa Sophia said, let's remember the gift goal. Start the dollar train. Let's show Jay some appreciation he deserves. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We are crowdfunded here. That's an important reminder. And in the coming months, I'm going to have a lot of new unexpected expenses. So that would be greatly appreciated. Jen's out today and yesterday. I think she's getting a root canal, if I remember right. She got expenses. So life goes on. I appreciate all your guys' support for them. Another one came through here. Who was this from? Sorry. Oh, that was Asa Sophia again. Says, start the dollar train. Let's help with the gift goal. We have missed you all weekend. Glad you took a break for you. Good to see you back. Thank you. W. Asa Sophia in the chat. Thank you. All right. Moving on. I want to address this clip because I think this kind of illustrates where we're at. And I saw a ton of commentary about this weekend. I generally don't watch a lot of other people's political commentary. I try not to as much as I can because I want to make sure that what I'm saying comes off authentically, that I come to my answers authentically. It's easy to like fall into, I'm just going to say what everybody else says. So I usually don't. But yet Hassan, I don't actually, does anybody know who this dude is? I don't know who this dude is. Looks like he's ready to go out and beat up some socias though. And they were on with now I can't remember her name. I'm so bad with names. Everybody knows who she is. But anyways, this is what's causing some controversy now and some strife within the left.
For him, disappointed in
Who
Gavin
do you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom.
Me
of course,
too.
100%.
I wouldn't blink.
There's no
What
doubt.
about you, Hassan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Jennifer Welch is her name. Did we get the other guy's name? I don't know. It's just his friend. All right, let's go back.
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive but also unconscionable. And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficiently like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right? Mm-hmm. If I had this.
So here's what I want to say about that. I don't even know what the fuck happened this weekend on TikTok. I saw that Fax put up a video saying like talking about the infighting and how like there's obviously a common opponent right now that we need to be focused on. The infighting is enough is enough. I don't know what he was talking about, if we're being honest, but I did see that. I just want to say this. That opinion is valid. It's a valid opinion. He's a very influential, powerful person. This opinion, like having this type of opinion, puts pressure on the Democrats. And I'm for it. I don't agree with him. If it came down to it, and I was forced to choose between J.D. Vance and Gavin Newsom, I would vote for Gavin Newsom. But there's a part of me that doesn't want to say that publicly. I don't know if Hassan's the same way. I'm not that familiar with Hassan. But I don't publicly, honestly, want to say that. I don't publicly want to say I would vote for Gavin Newsom. Why? Because I want that leverage. I don't fucking want Gavin Newsom. He's this guy has gone from like, oh, promising maybe we can push him in the right direction to, does he have any principles? Like, does he have any principles at all? Or is it just power? Because I don't think that there's a thing that he won't flip on if he sees dollar signs or he sees power. I have no problem with this take from Hassan. I would hope later on, if Gavin Newsom's the nominee, I would hope, just from my opinion, that he wouldn't advocate for people not voting for Gavin Newsom and voting for J.D. Vance instead. But I do think that this is a good thing. They need to feel that. Like, whatever amount of influence he has, Democrats need to feel that. I actually went back and listened to Vaush, who I never, that was who kind of got me moved left initially, and I haven't listened to him in a long time, but I saw he had clipped this, and he made some compelling points. If you guys don't listen to Vaush, it might not be your flavor, but he made some good points with this. One of the things that is hard to acknowledge is going backwards and saying, like, just being honest about how history would have changed. I voted for Joe Biden. I think most of you guys probably voted for Joe Biden. Would we be in a better place if Joe Biden lost? Probably. I think we probably would have been in a better place. It allowed Trump to regroup and to come back with white nationalists, psychopaths running his administration. He would have been a lame duck president. His economic numbers would have struggled, and he wouldn't have had the kind of economic recovery as Joe Biden. So, like, at the time, we're watching Joe Biden do these things that were like, these are good things. Like, a lot of these things are helping. But if you go back and you look at it, like, what if Biden would have lost? I think we'd be in a completely different place. And so, like, we never really know how the future is going to shape up. Nobody knows what kind of president Gavin Newsom would be. But right now, at the midterms, 2 years away from a presidential election, I have no fucking problem. In fact, I would advocate that all Democrats say this. I hope everybody takes this position, whether they mean it or not. Take that position. Put pressure on Democrats to do popular things, to tax the wealthy. Do you guys believe that Gavin Newsom is going to run on this, like, hey, we got to fundamentally change our tax structure, we have to fix wealth inequality? Of course he's not going to run on that. Is he going to run on universal health care? Of course he's not going to run on that. Is he going to run on, like, we got to defund Israel? He pretends he doesn't even know who AIPAC is. The last thing in the world we need is Gavin Newsom, who is like a far less progressive Joe Biden. Joe Biden wasn't great on everything, but like Joe Biden, as far as policy went, one of the most progressive. In fact, Vaush said this is where I stole it, so I don't want to take credit for it because I had to go back and think of it. He's like, Joe Biden's the most progressive president of my lifetime. And I'm older than Vaush. And I look back, yeah, he's the most progressive candidate of my lifetime. So why in the world would Joe Biden, the moderate of all moderates, why would we go backwards towards Gavin Newsom? Doesn't make sense.
Singular force to be able to make Kamala Harris the president, then Kamala Harris should be coming to me every.
What do you say? I don't care what he runs on. Newsom has the right to run. Of course he has the right to run. We have the right to criticize him. Who do I like? I like AOC. I mean, who wouldn't I vote for before Newsom? I would vote for Buttigieg before Newsom. I would vote for AOC. I'd vote for Bernie. I'd vote for Tallarico if he ran. I would vote for most people. I would vote for Harris before I voted for Newsom. Newsom is probably bottom of my list. The only redeeming quality Newsom has is that he's handsome and he's good on camera. And so there's a lot of people who don't really pay attention to this will be like, I'll vote for the handsome guy who's good on camera. But policy-wise, good Lord. Like, I'll literally take goddamn near anybody. Stephen A. Smith says he might run as a Democrat. I'd probably put Newsom above Stephen A. Smith. But, like, he's the worst of the worst.
Day and being like, let me do a collab with you, please.
Totally.
Right? That's not the case, of course, and they know it.
There isn't a candidate that's going to run on and implement universal health care. That's a fact. No, it's not. AOC. You don't think AOC would run on universal health care? She would run on Medicare for all, and she would win. Whoever runs in 2028 on Medicare for all will win. They will win. Yeah, no more corporate Dems. I agree. But look, I'm just saying, who's better? Like, if we're just ranking, you know corporate Dems are going to run, but who's running? I think Buttigieg is going to run. You wouldn't take Buttigieg over Gavin Newsom? Jesus, what the fuck is wrong with some of you? Democrats are not going to run AOC, so we can just stop talking about it. No. What do you mean Democrat? We get to vote. You know you get to vote, right? I know they fucked over Bernie, but Bernie was running. Bernie was running against the actual establishment. There is no establishment Democrats now. The establishment is broken. The establishment now, in fact, the people with all the power are AOC and Bernie. They have far more power and sway than Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer. Listen, I get that you're jaded, but like you keep saying they're not going to run her. They don't get to choose. The people get to choose. I don't know why we're pretending AOC couldn't win the primaries. Amy Lynn said, so is he saying I'll throw a temper tantrum? I don't know what he's saying. I have no idea what he's saying. We'll see when it comes up, but we'll continue this. MT Clark says, dollar train, choo choo. Appreciate that. Let's check here. And thank you, Damien, for joining the dollar train.
That's why they didn't do it. But the campaigns are always responsible for whether or not they are able to win the crowds.
Yeah, AOC will be old enough when it's time.
Win the population over and combat against the couch. Not necessarily even against the Republican Party, but usually you're fighting against the couch. People who just don't go out and vote. And for me, the way I see it is if the Democratic establishment makes this decision one more time, just as they did with Hillary Clinton, just as they did with Kamala Harris. And
let me just point out, I want to go back to that when you said like they won't run AOC because of misogyny and racism. Yeah, that is going to be an issue. But the difference between AOC and Harris and Clinton is that AOC will run on something that's deeply popular and it fundamentally change our system. Everybody's begging for change. Everybody's begging for a revolution. Nobody wants some just generic Democrat. That's not going to inspire anybody. If you run Newsom versus J.D. Vance, you're going to have a low turnout election. That will excite nobody. But AOC will excite people. She can overcome that. Kamala Harris could have overcome that as well if she had decent, really good policies, but she didn't. Her policies were like, we're going to keep doing what Biden did, which again, I'm comparing it to Trump and I'm like, oh, this is way better. I'll take Biden over Trump. But her policies didn't inspire anybody. It's not as simple as I think a lot of people take. Like they're like, oh, her laugh bothered me, or she talks funny. She said about the coconut tree. All that stuff can be overcome if you have good ideas that inspire people, or even bad ideas that inspire people. I mean, what, Trump was some eloquent speaker? No, he just played at people's heartstrings. He's like, you're getting fucked. You're getting fucked by the rich people. I will be your voice. You won't get fucked by the rich people. Now you're getting fucked by the rich people, and you're like, yeah, we're all the same, I think.
In some ways, just as they did with Joe Biden as well, which led to Trump too. Then they just don't care, and there's not much I can do.
Let me tell you
that.
something. Yeah. I agree with everything you say, but as a person who lived in a red state for 50 years, I would crawl through 10 feet of concrete to vote for Gavin Newsom, even though I think he's duplicitous, a hypocrite, a thirst trap, hungry for power, all of the things that you say, and harms the Democratic Party and sets the psychological soil to be more prey to fascism. All of that I agree with. But there are so many young, queer, black, brown, marginalized people in red states. And even though this corporate Democrat is, you see it in a long-term game. In the short-term game, a president...
All right, there we go. Can't listen to Hassan from his $2 million house. I mean, whatever. Does it matter? Honestly, does it matter if Hassan is wealthy? If he's wealthy, but he still advocates for good policy, we're not going to care about the policy because he has wealth himself. If he's talking about taxing wealthy people, he's talking about his own taxes as well. I love his uncle. That's funny. I can't stand Cenk. Different on that. Anyways, moving on. Let's go back to some polling here. Let's look at jobs. Republicans I think they really thought the jobs numbers were going to help Donald Trump. And help them ignore the Epstein files. It didn't work. They had jobs numbers released. I think it was Thursday or Friday, which were better than expected, but we're still low. And then year over year, we have net job losses. One thing we do know for certain is that all of Trump's job numbers get revised backwards. So even these good numbers, they announced good numbers in December and January and November, and they all got revised downwards. They'll probably be revised downwards, and they're trying. But let's see how the polling looks at jobs.
Donald Trump took a beautiful swan and turned it into an ugly duckling as far as the American people are concerned. Because these numbers, as John and I were discussing just before this segment, absolutely crazy in how the American people have totally turned on Donald Trump. Take a look.
No, I agree that. Look, Chanks say, sorry to get in this. Look, I'm not trying to split the chat. Like, we could chill for a minute. You can have a different opinion than I do. Like, this type of anger towards our own people, I think, is exactly probably what Fax was talking about. That's a lot of anger towards content creators that are sharing their opinions. That's true, though. Chanks a trailblazer. He started out. I really liked the start of what he did, and then all of a sudden he's like anti-union. All of a sudden he won't let his own people unionize. Then he starts taking he started making decisions. Once Chank started getting more money, the decisions were like, I'm going to choose money over what's right, and he's gotten filthy fucking rich. The amount of money that they took from Polymarket is troubling. I don't see Chank in the same way as I used to. I see him as a Tucker Carlson type. I see him as a performer now, and riding the wave of like, what's going to be popular? How am I going to make sure that my audience is the largest audience it possibly can be? What types of things can I do? What should I avoid? I don't know that they always touch on tough issues, and I think they've taken a big hit for that.
Look here, Trump's net approval rating on jobs and employment. In January 2025, look at that. Overall, plus 9 points. Hey, that's pretty good. But down he goes, minus 13 points overall. But you think that's nuts? Take a look at the independents. They go from plus 7 way down off the screen to minus 30 points.
Where was that dude saying Trump is stronger than ever? Whoops. This looks stronger than ever to you?
That's a 37-point drop in the net approval for Donald Trump among independents on the issue of jobs and employment.
Again, with independents just consistently, we're seeing these staggering changes over just a year, a pretty quick period of time.
Just 1 year.
Thanks, Tim, for joining the Dollar Train.
This next chart is actually the one that really blew my mind. It's about people's views.
Say it, Chrissy says, corporate Dems are dragging us down and hurting Dems. Agreed. Phoenix Rise says, if Newsom wins, it'll give us another Trump in 2032. Yeah, that's a really good point. Axe said, glad you're back. I was lost without my RTP family, and I think whoever runs on Medicare for All and can get it passed, their party will win for the following decade. I'm with you there.
The job market in general over a similar period of time.
Yeah, okay, if you think these numbers are crazy, this next one, these are bonkers. Okay, what are we talking about here? Americans rate the job market as bad or good. February 2025, equal share. Say fair or say bad or good. 42-42. Look at this now. Over just a year's time, now the clear majority, 52%, up like a rocket, rated as bad compared to just 33% down to the basement who rated as good. So what we've seen is Americans rating the job market. It was an even split a year ago, and now the clear majority by a 19-point margin rated as bad rather than good, and that goes a long way to explain why Donald Trump's numbers on jobs and employment have fallen through the floor.
Just to be clear, this is Donald Trump's presidency. During Donald Trump's presidency, these views have changed a lot. What are people's views in general of the jobs market?
Okay, so we're looking at the current state of the jobs market. What about going down the line, right? Views towards the future. Okay, the jobs outlook. Expect unemployment in the next 6 months to go up or go down. Well, back in January 2025, right when the Donald Trump presidency was about to begin, 38-38. But look at this. Views towards the future. 50% now expect unemployment to go up in the next 6 months. That is the highest saying that they expect unemployment to go up since the Great Recession. No wonder why Donald Trump.
Oh, that's a good point. Somebody said, who was that? Said Robin said, I wish anyone in the Democrat Party would come out right now and organize us to fight back. I do think that's what AOC and Bernie are doing. They've been doing nationwide events. AOC is putting herself in front of a microphone all the time, and she's talking about like radical change. I think it's time to acknowledge that that's the only person that has any real shot at making a big, significant change for us right now.
Trump's approval rating on jobs and employment have fallen through the floor.
And this is interesting because this is people's feelings. It's not
Correct.
the jobs data. People vote on their feelings.
Correct.
And if they feel like it's going to get worse, that could impact how they vote. About the data, which we are going to see tomorrow, what are people predicting on that front?
Yeah, what are the prediction markets? What's the Kalshi prediction market predicting on that one? Chance U.S. adds 70,000 jobs or fewer. Well, 64% chance that it's 70,000 jobs or fewer. And keep in mind, the economy added 111,000 jobs back a January ago. So the real numbers at this point, what the folks who are putting their money where their mouth is are predicting, is that it's going to be worse than a year ago. No wonder why. Just yet another data point to explain why Donald Trump's job approval rating on jobs and employment is fallen.
We'll have the actual numbers to chew over tomorrow.
All right, there we go. Everybody's favorite pollster, Harry Enton, to explain that. Again, these are just polls. We'll see. These all can change. Janelle said, missed you guys way too much. Glad you're back, but always take care of you and your mental health. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate a compassionate audience who lets me have days where I just can't get it done. Dolphin said, I think about Tallarico and one thing about Tallarico and what I've learned: never trust a Christian evangelical pastor from the South. Sorry, but you can't trust them. Plus, he doesn't believe in Medicare for all. So vote Crockett if you want true change in Texas. I agree with that. I'm on board with Crockett as well. I've flipped that vote. I was initially Tallarico, but he has said some concerning things recently. All right, moving on here. I forgot to get the content creator here. I was actually going to just read the article, but oh shit, that's not the right one. Here we go. I was going to read the article, but whoever this was, she did a better job and makes my life a lot easier. This is... Damn, I don't have the... Maybe it'll show her name. Anyways, the state of agriculture in this country is a problem.
Putting on my Professor Farmer hat today, I want so badly to give you all good news because our country feels fragile right now and I don't wish to give you any further stress. However, my job is teaching agriculture and how our food system works and how climate change is impacting our food supply. People like me have been reporting on the situation with our farmers and our tariffs for a year now and waiting for the tipping point when our farming system would actually start to break down. And yesterday, I read this. American agriculture is on the verge of widespread collapse. Why? For all the reasons I've been sharing with you here. Trade disruptions caused by the tariffs, labor shortages caused by ICE raids and deportations, USDA cuts made by this administration to funding that is critical to the support
Thanks, Harold David said AOC Bernie ticket all day.
of U.S. farmers, and the cancellation of foreign aid and domestic food programs have created a crisis situation. Who's saying this? This was all sent in a letter to congressional leaders and was written by the former CEOs and presidents of farming associations. The American Soybean Association, National Corn Growers, National Pork Producers, National Barley Growers, National Milk Producers, the U.S. Grain Council, Renewable Fuels Association, and so many more. These leaders made what I consider to be very reasonable demands, like remove all tariffs from inputs, which mostly refers to critical fertilizers we import from other countries. They are asking for immigration reform, specifically as it applies to visaed workers who come here to work on our nation's farms. They want funding restored for agricultural research and for domestic and foreign aid programs that serve the dual purpose of providing income for our farmers and food to our most vulnerable citizens. They want a new farm bill that is now 2 years overdue. In summary, a rollback of virtually every single policy this administration has introduced that relates to farming in the last 12 months. Then the New York Times picked up the story, but I don't think anyone read it because it feels like chaos in the news right now. Didn't farmers just get promised a $12 billion bailout? Yes, they did, but not a single dime has been paid out yet, and most farmers say it will not be near enough to offset.
Oh no! How do you think this is going to play in the Midwest? Iowa's already struck. Like you've already seen a blue shift in Iowa. I haven't seen any polling recently. I could look here while this video is playing. I'll see if there's any updated in Nebraska. But this isn't going to play well in places that Trump desperately needs to win. You can't fuck over the farmers. They know that he's taking their farms and he's selling them out to massive corporate farms, which is also weirdly like against Maha. Cutting all this, all of these red tapes now, so we can pollute more, so that the food's less safe. And that's all for factory farmers. That's not for local farmers. Where's that $12 billion bailout? Where's the money that they're waiting on?
What has happened? We're seeing a huge rise in farm bankruptcies. Most farmers have a great deal of debt, and based on global markets right now, they don't see a way to make money this year. Almost no matter what they plant, it won't be profitable. The cost to put in an acre of soy or corn won't return enough to cover those costs.
I love you guys saying that. The farmers won't vote for Dems. They are. They've been voting for Democrats this entire year. Have you been watching special elections? Have you watched any of these contested elections? You see what happened in Texas? What are you talking about? They won't. They are. It's these rural communities that are voting for Democrats. What are you watching? No, but they're like us. They don't care about anything but Donald fucking Trump. Yeah, well, I have this sneaking suspicion that if your industry, whatever you do for work, I assume most of you sucking off people at Flying J truck stops, imagine if Trump came in and covered all those holes. I think some of you would change your opinion about him. He can't come cover up the holes. That's how I make all my money. If there's no hole, there's no dick. If there's no dick, what do I suck? You will turn on him if he ruins your industry. And he's ruining farmers right now. I promise you, nobody is that loyal. If you lose your farm and you can directly tie it to Donald Trump, you will not vote for him. And your community won't vote for him.
Didn't all these folks vote for him? Yes, they did. And I'm going to say this again, no matter how mad you all get. Blaming and shaming them at this point accomplishes nothing. We need them. Yes, the system needs reform, but virtually every time a farm goes under, the land gets sold to a giant corporate-style farm, which consolidates our food supply, or to a developer, which in the ag world...
What did the Democrats do for farmers? We didn't make it so that they couldn't sell their crop. The Democrats just got out of the way. That was it. Trump, it's not like they needed to do anything for farmers. Trump ruined it. He completely killed our soybean industry. It's dead. And he gave it to Brazil. He just handed it off to Brazil. Go ahead, Brazil. You can have it. We won't sell to China, but you sure as shit can. Doing nothing is way better than what Trump has done. It's not like farms are struggling and Trump happens to be president. It's that farms exist. Trump fucked them. Now they're pissed. It doesn't matter what Democrats have done. They didn't do this. Go look at the elections. You can argue with me all you want. You can argue for with your dick in your hand for Donald Trump, but the reality is they're losing these elections now.
We call the last crop. I'll keep you posted as I learn more.
A great point. Who said that? David. That's right, the USAID. When we cut all this funding to USAID, those were American farmers who were selling their product to the US government to go to USAID. And they didn't have a chance to get new contracts or sell their product. It just happened overnight. Boom, USAID done, and these farmers lost contracts. Some of them, that was their entire livelihood, is selling products to the US government for USAID. Gone overnight. So it's not just the tariffs. Thank you for bringing that up. Amy Lynn said, my family's been farmers for over 100 years. They switched to the left in the 90s. My dad's a farmer. My dad grew up a farmer. Country boy farmer. Contractor. As red as they come. And like I told you, my mom said, there is nobody on this earth he despises more than Donald Trump, which blew my fucking mind. I was absolutely floored by that.
And it's still a very good time to plant a garden.
All right. Good advice there. Plant a garden. You might need it. Doesn't work very well where I am. I got to figure out what I can plant. All right. I want to talk about some lawfare stuff. Where are those same Republicans? Is J-Sex here? Is J-Sex here today? Because we talked about this, J-Sex, multiple times. And all of you guys said, these Dems are in trouble now. They're going to be prosecuted for making that video. Just wait. What are you going to do when Mark Kelly goes to prison? Nothing, because he didn't. Mark Kelly also, the courts ruled that what Pete Hegseth did to Mark Kelly is not allowed, and Mark Kelly got his retirement restored. And then the Trump Justice Department tried to put charges on these, eight members of Congress who said simply, you don't have to obey unlawful orders. And they couldn't get it past a grand jury, which you should be able to get it past a grand jury. Here's Chris Christie to explain it.
They tried to get criminal charges against him and others for the video, a reminder, the video where they lawmakers reminded veterans or active duty military, rather, that they do not have to follow illegal orders. That was it. That was the video. And they don't have to follow illegal orders. What's your reaction to that? They tried to get the grand jury to indict. Grand juries almost always indict. They didn't this time.
Well, I want to put a couple things in perspective. Having done the job of U.S. Attorney for 7 years, in 7 years that I was U.S. Attorney in New Jersey, and we were the third most productive district out of 93 in the country during those 7 years. So we brought a lot of cases. We never once, not once in 7 years, were no-billed by a grand jury. Not once. So to try, people
overwhelming majority are always
no,
because the prosecution just
unanimity. We never got no-billed, right? So why is that? This false idea that grand juries, you can indict a ham sandwich. It's not true, and the Trump administration is proving that. They're putting a bunch of ham sandwiches up there, and the grand juries are not indicting them. The fact is that the previous Justice Departments, before
I'd go for a ham sandwich.
This one, took very seriously bringing charges to a grand jury and asking to indict a fellow American. And what you're seeing now is absolutely the destruction of the credibility of the Justice Department with our judicial system. Judges are not giving the benefit of the doubt anymore to assistant U.S. attorneys when they come into court, and worse yet, with the public. And so the damage that gets done here by this just pure vendetta prosecution is long-term and is going to be very, very difficult to fix over the course of the next decade.
And Susan.
Yeah, even just the amount of people who have quit. Like career prosecutors who will not work for this administration because they consistently tell them to do things that are outside the law. Amber said, MAGA, Trump has not successfully prosecuted even one single Democrat, not his first term or second, not one. Dems successfully convicted over 20 Republicans. Some gave in and pled guilty. Yeah. And yet you still think that you're right. I think that's the alarming part. Like you still think that this is just somehow unfair. You can't convict anybody. You know why? Because everything Trump says is a lie. All this shit that you think that happens to you, all this lawfare that you thought was unjust, well, when it goes to court, Trump loses. And when Trump tries to get people back, he loses there too. Teresa said, "Stay on their necks, Jay." Appreciate that. Thank you. Christy looks like the Hamburglar. It's not nice. I want to show you these people are fucked too. I don't know what people like Mark, Wayne, Lee Harvey, Haley Joel, Osment, McMuffin, McMullins is going to do when Trump is gone and he no longer has to throat Donald Trump's dick every single day. But I want to show you the difference between Mark, Lee Harvey, McMullen, Osmond, Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy Osbourne, McMullins had to say before when we were talking about should we use the Justice Department to go against members of Congress. I want you to see in September of 2025 versus now.
Any question that Comey should be looked at? I mean, we just got to look at the 86 comment that he made, and when we start looking at the lies that he chose to continue with Russiagate, Adam Schiff went out while he was the chairman of Intel every single meeting and said that we had the smoking gun, and he said that for how many weeks straight. And you're going, where was the smoking gun? At some point, their actions need to be looked into, and if they did something, I don't know.
I don't remember the smoking gun. You may remember it's revisionist history. I don't remember anybody going out and going, that's what MAGA does. Oh, we got a secret for you. And then the secret never shows up. I don't remember any of these people claiming we've got a secret, we've got a smoking gun, and then not delivering it. That's just what people do who are lying to you. You guys are still waiting on the smoking gun from the 2020 election. Still doing that. Sky Fox says Dow under 50K, so now can we talk about the Epstein files? Finally, we just needed it to drop below 50K to talk about it. Brianna said no guillotine in the world could remove the amount of... Jesus Christ, Brianna. No guillotine in the world could remove the amount of head I want to give to you. Thank you very much for that. Been a long time since somebody made my face red. Jesus Christ, I'm going to lose my PayPal. What the fuck were we talking about? Oh, yeah, that was Mark Wayne McMullins.
This is a country that should look into it if they did something illegal, if they were leaking classified information, if they used their position of power for corruption, then they 100% should be held accountable. Jake, it's not the lane I walk in.
All right, so that's James Comey. Now we're asking about, what about these members of Congress that they tried to prosecute? He was pretty serious there, right? Like, oh, there's a smoke. Obviously, James Comey should be looked at. I have strong opinions. Now, what about now?
Should be held accountable. Jake, it's not the lane I walk in. I leave that to the DOJ. I'm not an attorney. Don't pretend to be an attorney. My branch of government is the legislative branch. What we have been focused on, and what I've been laser focused on, is DHS funding. Trying to get away from this Democrat shutdown with DHS.
The funny thing is, this guy could give you no evidence against Trump, but we can give you all the evidence against the Democrats. Trump was exonerated by the Epstein files. No evidence ever, just words. Using the word exonerated incorrectly. However, Trump is a convicted felon. There seems to be evidence there. He was civilly held liable for sexual assault. There's evidence there. He's lost thousands of court cases in his time as president or as a human being, if we want to call him that. Like, what do you mean we can't give you evidence? Evidence of what? You know what my claim is about Trump with the Epstein files? My claim about Trump and the Epstein files is that he's covering them up. And I think we have plenty of evidence to show that he's covering them up.
It's actually political theater. So what's going on at the DOJ? If it's something I need to get involved in because it's a legislative requirement, then I'll get involved in it. Until then, I'll let them do their job.
I do have a tough time imagining, let's say, if the Biden administration.
I mean, it's just now that it's like obviously they're losing. Now, I don't really have an opinion on this. But before, when it was Comey, I have a strong opinion on that. Switch said for a ham sandwich. Thank you.
Had tried to prosecute Rand Paul for saying things about COVID that they didn't like. I have a tough time imagining you would say the same thing.
Well, I would say the same thing if I'm not familiar with the case law or if it's something that I need to do. Like I said, I'm not an attorney. I stay very focused on my lane. I tell people all the time, listen, I'm never going to ask you to do a job that I haven't done or I think I can do better. Being an attorney has never been something I want to do. And so, Jake, I'm
not capable.
I'm very serious when I say this. I'll let DOJ play out. What we don't want it to be done, what we don't want to happen is for the DOJ to be used for political leverage, which is what happened underneath the Biden administration, which is what happened when they went after Trump for year after year after year.
They got grand jury indictments. They had evidence. Every time they went after Trump, they went to a grand jury. They had evidence. You don't have evidence here. This is the weaponization part where you tried to indict people without any evidence. This is the weaponization. We don't want it to be like that. It's not like that. I guess you got your wish. It's not like that because you guys don't have evidence. So is weaponization now just like any time you say anything about Trump? If anytime you charge Trump with a crime, that's just weaponization? Is that where we've landed, MAGA? If you say bad things about Trump, if you accuse him of a crime, that is weaponization. If we do it, then it's a corrupt justice system that won't believe us when we say that the Dems are the bads.
And we're trying to change that. I know the Republicans and I know the president is focused on the rule of law, and that's what we are. We want to restore the faith to the American people, restore the government back to the American people, allow the FBI, allow the DOJ, allow the Border Patrol, allow ICE to be able to do their job and enforce the laws that Congress passed.
Well, you just said you didn't want to weigh in.
Excuse me. No, they didn't. The DOJ wouldn't prosecute, so they quit and went to New York. You absolute idiot. Huh? What are you talking about? Are you talking about the person who quit the DOJ and then went to work in the Southern District? Is that what you're saying? It was a state crime. The DOJ didn't prosecute. The DOJ absolutely prosecuted him, though. Like, what do you think Jack Smith was doing? Jack Smith went and got grand jury indictments on 2 different cases. Jack Smith got more than this. This right here, I guess up or to the side, wherever you're watching. Like, they didn't get an indictment. Jack Smith got indictments. What's wrong with you guys? Honestly, what's wrong with you? One of the most, one thing that is fucking alarming sometimes is the role that confidence can play for people's ability to convince themselves and convince others of things. The amount of confidence that you guys say things with is frustrating. That was a crazy thing you just said right there. The DOJ couldn't indict him, so they quit and went to New York. That official at the DOJ isn't even who indicted him. That was Alvin Bragg and Letitia James. I don't remember which case they went to. I don't remember if it was Alvin Bragg's case or Letitia James' case, but it's like you purposely don't want to know what reality is. It's bizarre.
But then you accuse the Biden.
Oh, sorry. Amber said, do you have the Hillary clip? These morons didn't watch the whole clip. They don't realize Hillary and Obama were slamming Trump because they deported legally and constitutionally. They're so stupid. I don't know anything about that Hillary clip. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Burned Out said, I'm matching Swiss ham sandwich fund. Casey, if you know the clip they're talking about, will you DM that to me?
DOJ of politicizing the DOJ. I mean,
all right. Hold on. Good to see that hypocrisy always in full display. I also we are at the cult stage. Larry Kudlow. This was one of the most alarming clips I've seen. Larry Kudlow's just given up. He can't explain anything that's happening, so he's just now saying it's okay if he lies. It's okay. He can do whatever he wants. I just love it because he's optimistic. Here's Larry Kudlow. You can see here growing concern over the widening fraud scandals. I don't know what that's about, probably Minnesota, but Larry Kudlow now explaining why Trump is doing so great is cute.
I got it. Trump has made the Republicans the optimistic party. He is optimistic. He may embellish his numbers from time to time, but I think people love an optimist. He wants to make America great again. He says we're the hottest economy in the world. He says he's got over $18 trillion in foreign investment. I don't care if the numbers aren't precisely right. The optimism is precisely right, Newt. I got it.
I don't care if he lies. I don't care if we are getting this investment. I don't care if we are the hottest economy. He's the optimist president. That's called he's just lying. Just lying. My Venmo hasn't changed, but we don't use my Venmo. The Venmo is JenDub1. My Venmo got taken down because of too many sexual comments coming through, and so I don't have a Venmo anymore, but you just send them to Jen. Thank you. All right, and then one last thing on this administration, then we'll move on to the meat here. This is Liz Oyer, Lawyer Oyer, great Substack. One of the few places I'm subscribed. She used to be a pardon attorney for the Department of Justice, and now she is let's talk about some more new Trump pardons here.
Hey everybody. Yesterday, Donald Trump secretly granted a whole bunch more pardons. I'm hearing that there are 21 total pardons and commutations, but some of them still remain under wraps. Let me tell you about the ones we know about. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. So the first one's...
Well, did someone say ham sandwich? They did.
Really nuts. Remember I told you about Adriana Camberos, a woman that Trump granted clemency to during his first presidency and now has ended up back in prison on her second federal fraud conviction? Well, Trump granted her clemency again, and her brother, who was her co-defendant, as well. Second, Trump has granted a full pardon to...
Two pardons? You pardon her, then she commits the same crime again, you pardon her again? Hoodie, I'm biased. Don't worry about Hoodie. Hoodie, yeah, I'm biased. I think Trump sucks, and he's running the country right now. The Republicans have control of everything. Yeah, I'm not gonna report on a Democrat said something that I don't like. However, I did start criticizing the Democratic Party. Just what you're feeling right now, Hoodie, is you're uncomfortable because you don't have answers for any of this shit. MAGA, talk to me about this one. Fraud, right? You guys, fraud is a thing that you are very worried about. I've been here. You tell me about fraud all the time. We pardon a convicted fraudster, they go back and commit the same fraud again, and then you pardon them again. Any problem with that?
Wanda Vasquez Garced, the former governor of Puerto Rico, who Trump has referred to as a Trump-supporting governor, as well as her two co-defendants. Vasquez was prosecuted for taking bribes from a Venezuelan businessman named Julio Herrera Valentini. Herrera's daughter donated a total of $3.5 million to MAGA Inc.
Oh, no shit. You don't say. He's just out here selling pardons. It's fine. It's fine. He's making America great. Alfredo said to put towards your Chiba Hut ham sandwich. Now we're talking.
And then her father and his two co-defendants got a full pardon.
Why did the J6 committee get a pardon? I don't know. You could ask Joe Biden, but not for fraud.
Trump also pardoned a guy named Taryn Pizer. He was convicted of insider trading and sentenced to 42 months in prison.
Nice.
He was also ordered to pay back over $17 million. He was actually just sentenced in June of 2025. And
how do you pardon a foreign governor? Because the charges were United States charges.
Prosecutors in Trump's own DOJ, including the U.S. attorney he appointed, Bill Asaley, lauded the sentence as a just result. But now, Donald Trump has wiped it out with a pardon. Trump also commuted the sentence of Jacob Deutsch, who was sentenced in 2024 to 5 years in prison for a very large mortgage fraud. This was actually Deutsch's second federal fraud conviction. The New York Times is reporting that...
Yes, the president has the right to pardon whoever he pleases, but your president uses his pardons for really corrupt people for some reason. Not sure why.
Several lawyers and lobbyists with close ties to Trump work behind the scenes to get these clemencies granted. Because, of course, we all know that Donald Trump has established a pay-to-play justice system. I think you all know this, but as somebody who worked for several years trying to get clemencies for deserving people, this abuse of the clemency system is really quite upsetting. I'm sure more information will come to light over the next couple of days, and I will keep you posted.
For the record, if you've been here for a while, you know, like, I don't like pardons. I don't like the pardons that Joe Biden gave. I think the power of the president to have pardon, I don't even understand why we have that. I don't think it's a power that should exist. Generally, I'm against most pardons. Occasionally, you'll have somebody who was wrongfully convicted or, their sentence was unjust, and I can get on board with those. But yeah, I don't like pardons. I don't like the pardons of the J6 committee. I don't like the pardons of Hunter Biden. I don't like the pardons of Fauci. I didn't like any of that. Not like, if they did something wrong, let it be investigated. I mean, Hunter Biden did do something wrong. He was investigated. He pled guilty. So like, we know he was a criminal, but I'm not a fan of those, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to cover this. If you've been here for a while, you know I've said that. I don't like any of this shit, but this is so different than that. He's just selling pardons. He's just obviously selling pardons. Is that what we've come to in this country? Like in democracy, we'll support somebody who uses their position of power to enrich themselves, and we're just cool with it. That's where we're at. Marianne said, thank you for the super chat. And also, I am FRCD. I never know how to say that. Sorry. I don't know if it stands for something. I might just be too dumb to figure that out. Melanie said, Dollar Train. Appreciate you, Jay. Thank you very much, Melanie. All right. Let's get to AOC, because this is the type of messaging I love. I'm all in on AOC. I hope she runs. And I think she would win in a landslide. I think it would be a landslide if she ran on these policies. But this is in regards to, they were over in Germany, in regards to Prime Minister Carney's remarks at the World Economic Forum, where he basically said, like, we all have our own governments and we have rules for how we work with each other, but there's no like international law where a country like the United States can be held accountable for anything. And so we've entered a new era where the world superpower is just saying, rules don't really apply to us anymore. And I thought this was brilliant by AOC, this response.
I think that Prime Minister Carney's remarks at the World Economic Forum were words that rung around the world in raising this question. But I think that also in his remarks, as well as part of this larger conversation, there was this undertone, this undercurrent, this suggestion that it was a rules-based order sometimes. And I think that is the issue that lies before us, is that in a so-called
what happened to the propeller that's supposed to be on my hat? I don't know. I lost it.
Rules-based order. The rules for whom? Because for all too long, the rules only applied to the United States, Europe, its allies, and we would carve out exceptions for the global south. And I think that when you have a rules-based order where you carve out exceptions to our values, exceptions to our rules, eventually the exceptions become the rules. And I think that, to your original point, over the last 5 years, we've seen such a breaking and such a fraying of these alleged Western values that people wonder if it ever existed in the first place.
Yeah, it's almost like it's made up. Because what are the values that we're talking about here? What are the values across the world that we now espouse? Because it seems like, and I'm going to get to this as we move on, but it seems like it's white nationalism. It seems like they're simply talking Western values means I hate immigrants. We got to fuck them up, which is ironic coming from the West, which is a nation of immigrants.
So I don't know if it's necessarily that we are in a post-rules-based order. I think it's possible that we were in a pre-rules-based order. And we have an opportunity to explore what a world would look like if we upheld democracy, human rights, trade that actually centers working class people instead of accruing.
That's you. That's all of you. You can hate her all you want. She advocates for the working class. You guys all think that somehow tax cuts for rich people is going to make your life better. What's alarming, what sucks with AOC is like, yeah, I'm sorry. I get it. She's a woman. I know that's very triggering for a lot of you. You can't say that she's smart. She's smarter than all you dumb motherfuckers. Like, ironically, the dumbest motherfuckers in the chat are misspelling everything and calling her dumb. I can't spell, but she's a dumb. She's a real big dumb. No, she's brilliant. She's always been brilliant. I don't know. It's like I don't know if you like why you can't look at somebody that's has different opinions than you and not understand that they also can be brilliant. There's brilliant people on the right. She's brilliant.
Overwhelmingly the benefits of trade to the wealthiest. But if we reoriented a new era that could actually help people and show how foreign policy and healthy foreign policy can show up and help them in their lives.
Yeah, you want to fix world trade? You want to work on like not having so many wars? You don't want to have like radical groups that hate America? You know how you do that? Stop fucking with everybody. Have good relationships with our allies. Have good relationships with people who historically have not been our allies. Threatening them doesn't work. It's never worked. It just leads to more bloodshed. That's what we're doing now. Like, we've lost all of our standing on the world stage. We're still the most powerful, but we're alone. People don't like us anymore. I'm a bigger fan of peace. Like, I think that when you have friction, when you have contention, those are times you need to work through that. And it takes a strong leader to not threaten somebody. It takes a strong leader to go into a room and work out an agreement of peace. But Donald Trump's incapable of that. All he knows is threats. All he knows is force. And it's not working. It's going horrifically for our country. It's going horrifically for the world. You're on the wrong side of history, folks. Amy said AOC graduated cum laude from Boston University in 2011. Also won a science competition in high school, has a star named after her. Yeah, she's brilliant. Joel, thank you for the super chat. Natasha, welcome. Good to have you here. Marianne, thank you for the super chat as well. We'll check here. Good. Jens. Got it. All right. We have a new Warsh. Kevin Warsh is the new Fed chair nominee. And as he goes through the nomination process, he's got to be pushed by Republicans. Republicans are going to have to vote him through. There's a bunch of other people for the Federal Reserve Board that their nominations are coming up now. And we now have Republicans saying, I don't like what you're doing with Jerome Powell, as they're trying to investigate him. And Tom Tillis, who's on his way out, finally gets a backbone, is going to stop these nominations. The Republicans now are going to stand in the way of Trump putting in his own nominations because of his lawfare.
You reiterated this week you're going to block any confirmation hearings for a new Federal Reserve chairman or board member until the Justice Department's investigation of Jerome Powell is, as you put it, resolved. But will there be confirmation hearings for Kevin Warsh, even if this DOJ investigation into Powell is continuing?
Well, let's make the distinction between a confirmation hearing and then a confirmation markup. Mr. Walsh is going to have to decide whether or not he wants to go through with this, because as I'm sure you know, once the nominee is put forward, there are certain restrictions on what he can do in his business life. But I've tried to make it very clear that I have no intention of supporting any confirmation of any Fed board member, chair or otherwise, to fill the Kugler seat, for example, until this is resolved. I think we had a young U.S. attorney with a dream trying to get the president's attention, not even consulting with the administration and big DOJ on something that maybe they thought they'd get brownie points for. It's not cute. And if this is only about 2 minutes of discussion that came before Chair Powell, that prosecutor should listen to the 7 members, Republican members, who said they didn't see any criminal intent or activity. And more importantly, the prosecutor should understand that the protocol normally would be a referral from the chair or a member of the committee to say, we think a crime was committed here. We've got a crime scene where
The loser, this guy's on your team, Red Parrot. This is your team telling you what to do.
7 Republican members say no crime was committed. How hard is that to understand?
But
that's dumb. Dumb or dumb. Jack, the role of intelligence is not in your fucking form. I don't know what that means. Jack Smith was shut down because he unconstitutionally, unlawfully was in the position. What part of that don't you understand? You're an ignorant. The part where a Trump judge ruled that he was, and that was being appealed, and he was going to win that appeal. And then Trump won power. So that's actually still up in the air whether or not he was unlawfully appointed. But you just believe what Republicans tell you. So that's why you're here repeating it. I want to talk about a guy named Jeremy Carl, and I'm going to show you some clips. Some of you may have seen this. Jeremy Carl is a senior fellow at the Claremont Institute, which is like the alt-right institute. He also worked for the Hoover Institution. He wrote a book called The Unprotected Class, How Anti-White Racism is Tearing America Apart. Guys, this is not, listen, we're fine. Whites, to my fellow whites, we're fine. Nobody's coming after us. There's no anti-white racism. That's silly. Stop it. He has done some, like he's a Jan 6th empathizer. He called everybody from January 6th political prisoners. He direct quote, the January 6th prisoners, not even prisoners, criminals, had it worse than black Americans in the Jim Crow South. Come on, whites. Come on, my fellow whites. We can't be doing this. We can't be saying that what we have right now, the persecution that we have right now, is worse than black Americans in the Jim Crow South. He's very upset that there were not enough white Protestants in the Biden administration. And he said that the Holocaust, like, we need to look into the Holocaust. It's probably not as bad as we see or we think. And the Jewish question needs to be addressed. You guys know what the Jewish question is? It's basically like this. I mean, if we've got the Fuentes crew here, it's should they hold positions of power? Basically, should they be allowed to? Are they a scourge on the people of this world? So naturally, Trump put him up for what's his position again? Hold on, I forgot what he just put him up for. Naturally, Trump nominates this guy for the State Department. Just putting in a straight up racist in the State Department. And when you say when I tell you he's a straight up racist, the people that get upset about this will be like, no, he's not. Don't say that. Right now, don't say that, because he's about to say that he's racist. I'm going to show you videos of him being like, yeah, I am racist. So don't defend him just like because you love Trump. Watch the video first. First, I want to show you him. This is a longer one. This is with, this is a shorter one with Cory Booker. We've got actual Nazis. This is an actual Nazi. What we have to call you Nazis if you nominate Nazis. We don't have a choice. We have to say Nazi when you give us a Nazi.
So you have a problem if America grew to be more Latinos than white people?
Senator, the individual group is not important. This is a
Then why-
cross-societal.
What do you mean when you say that you believe?
Heads up, you're going to get really annoyed with him saying thank you for your question. He says it like a million times. Sometimes he forgets to say it, but he's on his best behavior today, trying to seem like a nice guy.
Believe in the Great Replacement theory?
Senator, thank you for that question. This refers to the intentional demographic replacement of Europeans in Europe. It was invented by Renaud Camus, who was a French scholar.
You think there's an active effort to, quote unquote, replace Americans right now?
Senator, I think the Democratic Party, through its immigration policies, has certainly shown signs of that.
So you are saying that if more Americans are black or Latino Americans, that somehow weakens America because it puts whites in a minority?
Senator, I never said anything like that, nor do I actually believe that. I want to be very clear that regardless of country, if people generally share more in common, that's a
Can I
strength.
read you what you've said? Because it sounds like this. You said the Great Replacement is real, and they are going to try to make you pay for it. Who is they?
Senator, thank you for that question. I simply don't know from you reading that one isolated comment.
You don't know who they are. I have a sneaking suspicion he just means non-Nazis.
You say in your writings that it is a threat to the United States of America and create an us versus them. And the only interpretation I can have of us versus them is it's white people against others, which sounds deeply racist to me. That somehow you think our country's greatness depends upon its ethnic diversity as long as white people have more numbers than others. That does not sound like a nation that was founded with the belief that all people are created equal and equal before the eyes of God. It sounds like you have a racial hierarchy. There's no way for me to read this in any other way.
Senator.
No, I call Nazis Nazis. Shut the fuck up, you Nazi bitches. Stop crying about being called a Nazi. Don't sound like one. This guy's legitimately a Nazi. You could have Hitler here, and I'd be like, that guy's a Nazi. You're like, that word has no meaning anymore. He's legitimately a Nazi. Like, he has Nazi ideology. This is what the Nazis believed. It's what the current Nazis believe. The people that still call themselves Nazis. This is what they believe. It's crazy. I don't know why you're if you agree with them, then you're a Nazi. Just because you don't call yourself that doesn't mean I'm not going to. You can't say all the Nazi things. I agree with everything the Nazis believed and then be like, don't call me a Nazi. He's a Nazi.
Have said our country based upon religious diversity, based upon ethnic diversity, based upon racial diversity, you have indicated that somehow those make America weaker or stronger. That God forbid our nation grows in population, that then you suddenly say, I'm aggrieved, and they are trying to replace us. You say holidays like Juneteenth are racial hustles. Don't come here and hustle me.
Now, for the non-Nazis here, again, I want to go back to the start of the show. What you're seeing in the chat is not indicative of regular people. As people are starting to see who Trump is and who he's nominating, they are changing their minds. So please, for your own mental health, please recognize that the worst of the worst is in this chat. No sane person would be defending what we just saw there. No sane person would be defending Jeremy Carl. I cannot believe that a majority of Americans sit there and watch that and think, yeah, that's good. And you'll notice that the Nazis that are here, they're actually not defending any of that. They're just getting mad at me for calling him a Nazi. And I want you to notice like the hysterics of these children. You're calling us names. Yes. Yep. Calling you Nazis. That's what I'm doing. You can, if you disagree with that, if you disagree with what Jeremy Carl is saying, I'm not talking to you. If you agree with Jeremy Carl, I'm talking to you and I'm saying to your face right here, all right, you are a Nazi. Don't do that. Don't be a Nazi anymore. Please don't be a Nazi. I don't know how to speak to you guys. I don't speak German. But could you knock it off? It's not cool to be Nazi. All right. Here's Chris Murphy. Chris Murphy tore him apart. This was incredible
Thank you.
stuff.
Senator Murphy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for appearing here today. Mr. Carl, I think it's just heartbreaking that you have been nominated for this position and that you've reached a panel before the United States Senate. But I do want to give you a chance to go a little bit deeper in your explanations of your personal beliefs. They are directly relevant to your fitness to serve. You already have had some of your statements read.
I don't even get that. Like, to call people Nazis today shows the ignorance of ones using that word. Do you not think there are Nazis today? Are you unaware that there are people who self-identify as Nazis, that the Nazi Party still exists, both in America, in Germany, across Europe, and that you got all the people that you're aligned with are also aligned with those Nazi groups? Are you unaware of this? You certainly can't be unaware of this. Like, Nick Fuentes exists, right? They didn't stop. The Nazis didn't go away in the 1940s. Nazism still exists. Notice what I'm not saying. What I am not saying is that all of you would like to exterminate Jews. Some of you, maybe. Don't know. What I am saying is that your ideology is the exact same as the Nazis. Remember, the Nazis were not told by Hitler early on that, like, hey, we are going to wind up killing 6 million Jews. We're going to put them in concentration camps. We're going to burn their bodies. We're going to do mass graves. That was not what drew them to the Nazi Party. What drew them to the Nazi Party was this exact rhetoric. Most Nazis were Nazis because this is what they believed. So you don't get to run from being a Nazi because they haven't done the Holocaust. Right? Just because you guys haven't advocated for a Holocaust does not mean you are not Nazis. I'm using it in terms of your ideology. You and there is no daylight between you and them. You have the exact same ideology. Deal with it. Cope. Seethe. But what I noticed none of you were able to do is like refute this. That this is Nazi ideology.
To you, but I'd like you to respond to at least a few of them. One of the things you have said is that anti-white discrimination is the most...
Sorry, real quick. Amber said it's weird for folks in the chat to worship a skin color, not a heritage or a culture, but a color of skin. Facts.
Pervasive and politically salient form of racism today. So do you continue to believe that anti-white discrimination is more salient than the discrimination faced today by blacks, Latinos, Muslims, or other...
J6, none of you guys ended slavery. Shut the fuck up. Stop riding on the backs of your Republican ancestors. You didn't end slavery. You don't get to ride on that. You didn't do shit. Yes, the Republicans, the same party that ended slavery, are Nazis now, and their ideology is totally different. If you go look at the platform of the Republic. In fact, let's do this real quick. Let's look at Lincoln's presidential platform, and you see, like, is he talking about white identity here? I don't have that. Yes. All right. Actually, let me see if I can get this summarized real fast. It's like pages. Okay. Now, Lincoln didn't necessarily want to get rid of slavery. He didn't want to expand slavery. So his pledge was to prevent slavery from spreading into federal territories, but he didn't want to interfere. In fact, what happened is Lincoln became president and immediately all the southern states seceded and they declared war on Lincoln. But it is important to remember that you guys didn't actually run on abolishing slavery. You said, well, we're cool with it, but we just don't want it to go on to federal land, states' rights, right? That was kind of both sides of it. Some states can have it. He insisted that the Union was perpetual and that secession was illegal, framing the election as defense of constitutional government. He supported free labor. He promoted a society where individuals could rise through their own work, arguing that slavery threatened free white labor and Republican self-government. He asked for fidelity to the Declaration and Constitution, emphasized that all men are created equal and that government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. Respect for states' rights. His economic modernization is that he wanted Republican program-backed internal improvements, protective tariff, and encouragement of Western settlement, homesteads, all framed as being benefiting free labor, a stronger national government role. He wanted a bigger role of national government. Party favored a more active federal government in promoting development and enforcing national laws, especially on slavery in the territories. He wanted to expand the role of the federal government. Are you guys, is that you? You are that, by the way, now, but you didn't run on that. You don't get to take credit for that. The reason we had a civil war is because the South did not believe that Abraham Lincoln would not abolish slavery. Even though Lincoln's like, I'm not going to abolish slavery. They're like, we don't believe you. So they seceded, and then we went to war.
American groups.
Well, Senator, thank you for that question.
You're welcome.
And thank you also for giving me an opportunity to speak at a little bit of length. I haven't necessarily had much opportunity to respond.
I'm going to have at least one
Jennifer said calling out Nazis is hot. Thank you very much.
more question
That's
for
an
you.
adorable cat. Is that a Siamese cat there on your profile picture? Well-fed cat. Thank you very much. Think about those.
So I'll give you a minute or two to respond.
Yes. So thanks to the great work of my friend Harmeet Dillon as the Assistant Attorney General of Civil Rights, I actually think that we've done an incredible job in this administration of getting rid of certain policies that discriminate particularly against white Americans, but also in some cases Asian Americans.
Well, just maybe
it was an actual cat.
Answer my question. Let's rewind.
Sorry, Devin. I have this thing here because I stop clips, and because I'm not just Twitter, and so when people criticize me for stopping clips, the whole group has to suffer. So guys, this is for Devin. Devin, we're now going to have 20 seconds of silence because you're complaining. We don't do that here, so everybody enjoy your 20 seconds of silence. All right, that was for Devin. Let's keep going.
Is maybe you'll suggest that everything is fine now. Let's rewind a year ago. A year
Thanks
ago,
for the
were
gifted
white
subs.
Americans the most discriminated
Benny.
against group in
Or
the
Greg
United
Keys.
States? You said it. So
Yeah.
just,
Senator, no, certainly this is my belief. I'm not running away from that. I think that while, of course,
Yeah, I am a Nazi. I'm not running away from that. These are literally, yes, I have Nazi beliefs. I am here in front of you today in Donald Trump's America saying it's okay to be a Nazi.
races in different contexts can be subject to really severe discrimination, that when we look at our legal structures, white Americans are often very disfavored in overt ways. We're seeing this in the Small Business Administration, many other places.
So your belief is that white Americans.
By the way, what his research is telling him is that white Americans aren't doing as well as they used to as far as representation in small business. And if we reverse this, right, because this administration ran on like DEI is bad, and they say everything is fair. We are a country where everything is about fairness, and it's about your ability to win. Everybody starts with a level playing field. So if there are discrepancies, if there are less black business owners, then that is a problem with black people and not with our system. At the same time, they're saying, oh, if white business owners are failing more than they used to, then that's actually the fault of black and brown people, not white. See how this works? Like,
You get to be perpetual victims always. And when things are going well, it's not because you're stepping on anybody. And when things start going the other way, it's not your fault. It's actually their fault. It's never a white person's fault.
Face more discrimination, at least prior to the Trump administration fixing this, than black Americans.
On average, Senator, yes, that's correct, and I'm not running away from that statement at all.
You have made several statements about your worry regarding the erasure of white culture in America. I understand Irish American culture. I understand Italian American culture. I maybe don't understand white culture.
The best way to get rid of racism is to stop classifying people by race. Simple for an educated person. Actually, the best way to get rid of racism is to have people stop being racist. That's the best way. If you stop classifying people by race, then you can't identify racism. Right? Like, I don't know if any of you fish, but I used to fish a lot when I was growing up, and there was this lake where we had kokanee salmon, rainbow trout, and then cutthroat trout. And the cutthroat trout, they were an invasive species, so they wanted to get those out. And there were different like rules and regulations for cutthroat trout, for kokanee salmon, and for rainbow. And in order to help people, especially on the kokanee salmon, they would tag them. And so if you caught a kokanee salmon, it would have a tag on it, and you knew, I have to release this. And then there were size restrictions for the cutthroat trout, but not for the rainbow trout or for the kokanee salmon when the kokanee salmon were in season. That's how you could tell, right? You identify the different groups, and when you identify the different groups, then you can figure out if there is a disparity. If you would have just said a fish is a fish, then none of these rules would have mattered. If there was no way to identify them, you would never know the different regulations. But yes, you have to talk about identity. It's such a white dude thing to say, like, oh, what if we just all pretended that there was no difference? Well, that's what you've been doing. That's the fucking problem, is we've been pretending there wasn't a difference, and then there's a group of people eventually that gets enough support, usually led by women, that are like, this is unfair, and then we have to then do studies. And how do you know if there's disparity? How do you know if there's racial discrimination? If you don't identify race, how would you ever know? Isn't that a racist dream? Like, I don't want to hire black people. What's the solution? What if we just didn't ever qualify anybody as black? Then when they come and they look at my hiring practices, they can't accuse me of being racist because there is no race. So I could just hire all white people. Right? Use your brains a little bit.
As well. Tell me the values, the white values that you believed are being erased by the current American government or prior American governments?
Senator, thank you for that question. I would say that it's not, I didn't use the word values, I used the word culture. I think that anytime you have...
JB wanted to say, shut up, Devin. And Jamar said, I think anyone who has a cat would like it to be. Amber says, getting rid of DEI and affirmative action made it so.
Of large degrees of mass immigration, you're going to have a change in culture, especially if they're coming.
Sorry, whites, let's just do this for him because he's not going to answer. I have no fucking clue what our culture is. My fellow white men, what is our culture? I don't know. Can you help me with this? Can you tell me what our culture is? I want some explanations in the chat. We'll open this up. Playing victim. Mayo on Wonder Bread. Racism. All right, can I get these are going to go too fast now. I know this is fun. I'll give you like 20 more seconds. Let's get them out. Mayonnaise sandwiches, hating other cultures, natty light and fucking their sister, beer and domestic abuse, exploit extra mayo, unseasoned chicken, ranch dressing. That's true. I do like ranch dressing. I can. Boiled chicken. All right. 10 more seconds, and then I want just Republicans, just white Republican or MAGA conservative men. 10. In fact, we'll play the ad, and then I want just MAGA. Like, nobody's as soft as a conservative. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Those conservative men are soft as shit. That's why every time you go to a conservative podcast, it's like, and now to our sponsor, Blue Chew. Your dick can work again.
You don't have to scream at women when your dick doesn't work. This'll fix it. That's true. Johnny said, JB, I've gone from Johnny Longtrail to JB. I guess so. That's what it's showing up as. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're feeling well. Check here. And there. All right. All right. Now I just need the white conservative men. Everybody be on your best behavior. What is our culture? Our culture is the Bill of Rights. That's not culture. It's a law. Creating the most stable societies on earth. That's what do you mean by stable? What does that mean? Guys, I only want white conservatives. I know we're all trying to get in on this. Please, it's hard. Chat goes too fast. I legitimately want to know. Everybody want to move to white countries? Not true. I want to move to Mexico. Rescuing slaves? Sure. Stopping slavery? No, that's not white culture. You can't have slaves and then stop having slaves and be like, our culture is stopping it. We still have slaves in this country now. We have, like, it's part of our law. We're allowed to have slaves. Prison labor is. All right, that was tough. Okay, let's keep going.
From culturally dissimilar backgrounds. And no matter what group it is, if it were in China, it would be the same thing. If it were in New Guinea, it would be the same thing.
Yeah, but tell me about what that means. I mean, culture is values, right? It's expressions of identity. Tell me what is being erased. I mean, give me some examples of what you believe are being erased about white identity. What is white identity to you?
Well, Senator, thank you for that.
Tell me how it's different than other identities.
Senator, I think the question of identity is something that lots of scholars
I get you. You can do a sermon on identity, but just tell me how you define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity.
Senator, it would have. Thank you again for the question, and genuinely thank you for finally letting me have a chance to explain some of my comments a little bit. But I would say that they could be things like going to a certain type of Christian church and that sort of culture, which is very different. I mean, you can all be Christians, right, in a certain environment, but
so lack of rhythm, I think, is what he's saying here. It's teaching from the same book. A lot of the same songs. Is it just the energy, like low energy? Is that white culture? Low energy churches?
American Christians might worship differently than Chinese Christians that might worship differently than white Christians. Of course, sometimes you have multi-ethnic churches, but things like that, certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history.
Like what?
Let me think about this.
You should probably have that off the top of your head. To be this concerned about the destruction of white culture and then not having an answer when asked, what is white culture?
He's just racist. He's just a Nazi. He doesn't know why. But I know why. It's because he's mediocre as fuck.
Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that, that would be one example. Obviously, you could have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians.
So just the Scottish and the Irish? But, I'm not Scottish or Irish, and I'm white, so that wouldn't be my culture. So do I not get... Because I don't have that in my lineage, so... I guess it's just Scottish and Irish. I think maybe he knows his culture.
What if you're for Scandinavian like me? Come on, I'm like Scandinavian and British.
You could have Irish, and those are in many ways more.
Yeah, but you're worried about white culture. You're not worried about you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
Senator, again, thank you for
spent a lot of time talking about this and writing about this.
Yeah,
you should be able to. You're struggling with this, but you should be fairly easily.
White culture is appropriating other cultures. Facts. Electric Dad said it's hard being country in this country. I just want to kiss a fish. All men are created equal, just not treated equal. Good point, Electric Dad. Thank you.
I would assume able to tell us your thoughts on how white identity is different than other kinds of identity and how it's being erased.
Senator, again, thank you for the question. I'm just trying to be I'm just trying to be very precise. Because I'm here in front of a Senate committee, I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Foodways could often be different.
And those
music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. Well, if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Somebody asked who this is. This is Jeremy Carl. He is Trump's pick for Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Interior, Assistant Secretary of State for International Organization Affairs. Hey, you know what would make us work really well with other countries? Let's put up a fucking Nazi.
It was not in English this year.
So our ability to access white churches or white food. Or
the only culture he has is the bacteria forming under his fupa. Jesus.
White music is being erased.
Senator, again, thank you for the question. What I would say is the biggest thing, because actually, contrary to many of the comments that have been shown, racial nationalists have been very, very critical of my work because they correctly say that I'm actually, of course, not a racial nationalist, which I'm not. I'm a civic nationalist. I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized, and I think that weakens us. And
yeah, but like mass migration brought us like a bunch of different religions. So my entire lineage is illegal immigrants who came here and tried to bring a different religion to the forefront, and they got ran out of every state, and they were all white, but now they're part of the good whites. But that's all my ancestors. They started in New York, and they just got run state to state, going west, and eventually like, fuck it, we're going all the way to Utah.
Again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better. That white people
Senator, I have to
superior.
disagree with that.
But you haven't been able to really coherently answer any of my questions about how you define white culture, how you define the threat that's posed. I appreciate you being very honest that you believe that white Americans are subject to greater amounts of discrimination in this country than black Americans. I do not think that's a sentiment that is shared broadly on...
I casually admit that they didn't assimilate. They refused to assimilate until the U.S. government marched on them. But they still didn't really assimilate. Like they have their Utah culture is very different than like general Christian culture. They didn't really assimilate. They went to a place where they didn't have to assimilate.
This committee, it is all what makes you just wildly, wildly unqualified to take this post. I'm well over my time. Thank you.
Well, Senator, I do appreciate you letting me actually respond.
We all get it. You're one of the nice Nazis. Appreciate that. And here's Tim Kaine now. Tim Kaine also rips him. A tough hearing for this for Jeremy Carl here.
Victims of a cultural genocide. Where to start? So you'd agree with me, wouldn't you, that whites are pretty well represented in the United States Senate?
They are well represented in this body, yes, Senator.
And how about in the House of Representatives?
Senator Kaine, I don't have those particular numbers. However,
but you would agree that they're pretty well represented in the House of Representatives.
Thank you, Tim. That was very generous. Appreciate that.
Senator, I would, again, thank you for the question. I would point out that there were no white Protestants by birth in the 25 cabinet members under Joe Biden.
How about in the ranks of American presidents throughout history, including now, pretty well represented whites?
Senator.
And how about in the ranks of vice presidents during American history now? Whites pretty well represented in that group, right?
Senator, thank you again for the question.
Yeah. I don't think it's hard. How about on the United States Supreme Court throughout our history?
You know, when he finished this, he's like, where the fuck are my glasses? Tim can't. Come on, man.
Including now, whites are pretty well represented on the United States Supreme Court, correct?
I think obviously historically, I would of course agree with you. Of course, the vast majority of Americans were white at that time. It's now a much more diverse society.
Let's focus on right now. How about in the ranks of American governors? You think whites are pretty well represented?
I would just have to look at the numbers. I don't know.
Okay, how about this? In the ranks of CEOs of major corporations today, you think whites are pretty well represented?
Senator, thank you for the question. I suspect that they are probably pretty well represented in that. But there are other areas where they're not as well represented.
How about in the ranks of high-income people? And we can define it however you want. Let's just say like top 10% of wealthy Americans. You think whites are pretty well represented?
Senator, thank you for the question. They would certainly be underrepresented with respect to Asian Americans, but they would be overrepresented with respect to other groups.
Yeah. A cultural genocide, that's a stiff claim. And it's an interesting one because it's kind of a white victimhood argument. But if I remember my colleague, Senator...
Yeah, it always is a white victimhood. Burned Out Medic said they want a Norman Rockwell painting America that never really existed. Yeah, they're romanticizing a past that didn't exist. You're exactly right. There was the rest of this. Johnny Longtrail. Thought you loved me. I'm disappointed. Kind of hurt. Just kidding, but seriously. Well, I don't know what to tell you, Johnny. It comes up as JB. I don't know. Didn't know that was you.
Rosen, she was reading comments to you where you had been saying, man, Jews play the victim. Jews like to be the victim. And yet you're making a claim that whites are victimized by a cultural genocide when all the statistics would say, not just in history, but today, that whites are very well represented at every level of every institution. They're very well represented in the incomes of Americans. And that doesn't mean each person is high income or each person is a Supreme Court justice, but you could look institution after institution in this country, and the facts completely rebut the notion that whites are victimized by a cultural genocide.
Yeah. A lot of victimhood. Amber, great point here by Amber, said getting rid of DEI and affirmative action made it so men, especially white men, are getting accepted into college less. They are not measuring up. So POC and women are now dominating enrollment. White men screwed themselves thinking they were just smarter. Apparently, they're just not. Yeah, you should have known, though. I do feel like that's your. I do feel like MAGA men. If you could drop the misogyny for a little bit, you may recognize that women generally are more educated than men, smarter than men in this country too. Jamar said, "I think anyone who has a cat would like it to be well fed." That was the rest of it. Thank you. Appreciate that, Jen. All right. You know what's crazy is I had these videos and I was like, how am I going to transition this? I have all these. I'm like, how do I transition out of this Nazi and move on to like foreign policy and Epstein? Because I've got some Epstein stuff to go over. I've got some ICE stuff to go over. And I've got some election stuff to go over. And as I was creating the outline, I'm like, how the fuck am I going to transition this? And I'm scrolling Twitter, and I literally found the perfect segue, courtesy of Marco Rubio, who is now over in Munich at the security conference as, keep in mind, a Cuban American saying this, which is now, this clip now has gone viral. Elon is subtweeting this to promote Anglo-Scots-Irish as our official race in this country. And the guy that we just saw, Jeremy Carl, would work under Marco Rubio. So to say that like, oh, that's just this guy's view, and it's not the view of this administration, let's hear Marco Rubio.
We want allies who can defend themselves so that no adversary will ever be tempted to test our collective strength. This is why we do not want our allies to be shackled by guilt and shame. We want allies who are proud of their culture and of their heritage, who understand that we are heirs to the same great and noble civilization, and who together with us...
Heirs? heirs? Didn't we escape a monarchy? I'm sorry, I'm not always great on history. It was my understanding that the founding fathers of America wanted to escape a monarchy where we didn't have to deal with heirs anymore. He didn't say anything wrong? Well, if you don't think he said something wrong, I'm guessing you're like him. You think that, like, if you're white, you're somehow blessed.
To the same great and noble civilization, and who together with us are willing and able to defend it. And this is why we do not want allies to rationalize the broken status quo rather than reckon with what is necessary to fix it.
Yeah, that's called dog whistling. You guys have a type, MAGA, and it's anybody rational basically has been run out of the party, and so what's left is a bunch of Nazis and child abusers. Let me tell you about this Republican chair. He is the party chair in Washington or Wasatch County in Utah, my hometown. This is just I lived in Utah County. There's a giant mountain, and I lived at the foothills. And across that mountain on the other side is Wasatch County, Heber. This happened 30 minutes from where I grew up.
Well, the Heber City Police Department tells me they deal with reports of child abuse weekly, but they tell me that it's very rare that a victim comes forward with a report of torture like this one.
When I first heard it, piqued my interest because I really hadn't heard that before associated with a child abuse investigation.
The term waterboarding used here, can you kind of define that for me?
Sure. So that was the term that was used by the victim in this case and came through on that CAN-R report.
That's the child abuse and neglect report made when a child comes forward with allegations like these. On January 21st, Heber City Police received such a report from the Utah Division of Child and Family Services that David Johnson's child did not feel safe in her home and feared for her life. The police report states the girl reported her father being upset that she didn't clean her room well enough and that he grabbed her by the back of the neck and repeatedly dunked her head into a sink full of water.
What occurred in this case was he would fill up a sink and then hold the child's head underwater for 20 to 30 seconds and then pull the head out of the water.
Johnson was arrested Tuesday evening for aggravated child abuse and booked into Wasatch County Jail. Would a child torture charge apply here as well?
That's something our detectives will look at, along with the county attorneys.
The police.
Yeah. Man, I'm fucking tired of Republicans. This MAGA version. This is what happens. This is what happens when Trump becomes your party. The good people don't want any part of it. And so you're left with the worst of the worst as the leaders. And the worst of the worst often sound the best of the best. They'll tell you how much family matters to them. They'll talk to you all about like the future and their plans. They'll talk to you about gender roles. And behind closed doors, they are absolute fucking monsters. But the loudest among us, the most bigoted among us, are the leadership of the GOP now. This isn't a Republican. This is the head of Wasatch County GOP. A deeply religious person in a deeply religious area, deeply outspoken about trans people, about anybody in the LGBTQ, immigrants. They are the poison. Meanwhile, he's waterboarding his own child. Go look up at his public statements. This level of hatred being ascribed to good people has been devastating.
The report says the victim also disclosed another incident of her father doing this to her younger sibling. Is that part of the investigation, looking into the other siblings?
Yes, all of that is part of our investigation.
I reached out to the Wasatch County Republican Party, which Johnson has been the chair of. I received a statement saying in part the vice chair will assume his responsibilities, that they trust the police and legal system to conduct a thorough investigation, and that they're, quote, encouraging the community to refrain from judgment until the facts and evidence have been presented. 2 News asked Senate Republican leadership about the situation.
I don't think it matters party official or who it is. It's a horrible thing. So I think regardless of his title or what it is, it's a horrible thing.
The police chief reiterated everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But when it comes to reports of child abuse,
we always assume that they're accurate until we're proven otherwise, and we treat them all seriously.
All right. You guys have a type. Here's Rubio back in the same trip. Here he is with Viktor Orban. You guys know who Viktor Orban is? Trump has Rubio out meeting with Viktor Orban. Trump is endorsing Viktor Orban. Hungary has elections coming up, and they obviously want Viktor Orban to stay in power. And so now Rubio's out there showing that Hungary and the United States stand together. And we'll talk about why perhaps they do stand together. No sound here, but just coming out here with the photo op. I'll pause it right there. Viktor Orban, as president, see, just tell me if this sounds familiar, has spent the last couple years ignoring the courts and redrawing electoral maps. He's stacking the courts. He's silencing the media. His friends are buying up media. He passes what are called decree powers, which are essentially the same as executive orders. And his own country has started saying it's like a hybrid regime or a mafia state. Does that sound familiar? The European Union has suspended them. He's consistently blocking aid to Ukraine. And it's not just like I'm blocking aid to Ukraine because I'm worried about my country. He also vetoes any sanctions that they try and put on Russia. Says that what's really happening in Ukraine is that Kyiv is the war risk. Ukraine is the problem. Sound familiar? In 2024, here's more of your type. In 2024, the president before Viktor Orban, Katalin Novak, pardoned a pedophile enabler. It was a Justice Minister Varga, and it caused Varga to resign over public outrage of Fidesz, I forget his name, Fidesz, who was an investigator who was handling abuse cases in youth homes. And he basically wasn't investigating because these were powerful people. And you had all of these, I don't know if orphanages is the right word, but group homes for children where people were being abused. The government was helping pay for it, but powerful people were involved. They were trafficking children, and Fidesz covered it up. Then Katalin Novak went ahead and pardoned them. And then, let's see, I have it here. In April 2023, Pope Francis came to visit. Novak issued a series of presidential pardons, including that of Georgi Budezi and Andrei Konya. Konya was the deputy director of an orphanage in Bixk who had been convicted of covering up the director's molestation of children at the institution. Sound familiar? He wouldn't be in the Epstein files, though, would he? He wouldn't have any direct connection to the most prominent figure in the Epstein files, would he? This is Steve Bannon messaging Terje. Dear Sebastian, Steve Bannon, who behind the scenes is still one of the most insightful and influential players in Washington and very close to the president, would like to see you on various issues. He's now working very closely with Viktor Orban and others of your colleagues in Europe. I'm having dinner with him in Paris on the 22nd of June. He could come to Vienna anytime between the 23rd and 28th of that month. He's a very astute and extremely well-informed analyst and player. Though we have significant different views on some issues, I will strongly recommend that you see him, and I'm sure you will find it very useful. Here is Jeffrey Epstein talking to Bannon. Trying to lift Abe on the world stage as key to Bolsonaro, Orban, Salvini. This is what guys want and why I included it. You guys know who Bolsonaro is? He's the attempted dictator in Brazil who's now jailed. How about Abe? He was the Japanese minister that was assassinated. Here's Steve Bannon. I'm now an advisor to Front, Salvini, the League, AFD, Swiss People's, Orban, Land and Freedom,
Farage, next May is European Parliament elections. We can go from 92 seats to 200, shut down any crypto legislation or anything else we want. Roger that. So just remember, Viktor Orban, who also covers for pedophiles, also a nationalist, also a Nazi. Steve Bannon just happens to be aligned with him too. Where's the outrage about Steve Bannon, out of curiosity? There is nobody that is communicating more with Jeffrey Epstein than Steve Bannon, and he's while he's working with Trump, he's running, like he's taking messages from the Trump campaign, feeding them to Epstein. Epstein's getting his message to Bannon. Bannon's feeding it back into the Trump administration. Where's that outrage? Oh, every time food. Listen, you dumb bitch. You don't get to come in here and disrespect women because they told you not to repeat yourself. So, mods, whatever you want with every time food. Don't come in here and be a misogynist, you fucking loser. Grow the fuck up. We have rules here. You don't get to repeat yourself. You don't spam the chat. Shut the fuck up. You can leave. Thanks, mods. I want to remind you too. I came across this clip. I've come across it a couple times, and this is probably have to pull this down. But just a reminder: oftentimes the comedians tell the truth long before everybody else does. Here's Robin Williams.
Donald Trump is the Wizard of Oz. He is the guy.
2012.
It's a man. He plays Monopoly with real fucking buildings. This is a scary man.
You're reporting me for swearing process error? Good. Get fucked. Fuck you. Fuck all your friends. Fuck your family. Get fucked. Go report.
And he owns all these beauty pageants, Miss America, Miss Universe. Isn't that a bit like Michael Vick owning a series of pet stores? It's a fucking catch and release program for him. This is a man who said, my daughter is hot. Even people in Arkansas went, that's fucking wrong. That's just way out of place. And that fucking hair, my God. I believe the hair is the Donald. I believe that's it. I believe the body is a maintenance system for the hair. He goes home at night going, we're home. Hey, fuck it, let's get out of here now. I'll fuck her, let's do this. Donald Trump is the Wizard of Oz.
People knew. Malika said, happy about you supporting Jasmine. That's huge. Yeah, it didn't take long. Talarico's done some shitty stuff, but Jasmine is distancing herself from some past positions that I like. She's distancing herself from Israel, and I think she's far more likely to support something like universal health care. So I'm a big fan of Jasmine Crockett. I think most of you know that by now. Make sure I got all these. Missed one. This was from JB. Johnny says, I'm just messing around. I know I'm just one drop in the great diversity of us that have come together in this community. I love the passion, honesty that has been created here. Sarcasm on voice infliction is difficult over text messages. Love you all. I hear you, Johnny. I love you, buddy. All right. Political Mom showed up on my Twitter this morning, so shout out Political Mom for this. But I took most of the weekend off, so I was kind of playing catch up this morning. And this is a story that I had missed after the Bondi hearing, which we watched live. I didn't get this part, but shout out Political Mom for putting this video together.
Hey, so I just wanted to point out something that I noticed about Pam Bondi's little burn book here. On the fourth one down, I noticed that when she had this written, this particular document here, she had the name Kira here. But I recalled that name in particular was redacted from the original document. Because if you even go to this...
Sorry, real quick, I just want to show this in case you're unaware. This is somebody took a picture of what Pam Bondi was looking at. And you can see here, it says Jayapal Pramila's search history. So when these members of Congress were going in to read the unredacted files, Pam Bondi was tracking what they searched, and then they had this burn book here, and they already had like what they had searched. So they were monitoring the members of Congress who were reading the redacted files, and Pam Bondi had a screenshot of everything that they had looked at.
Redacted from the original document. Because if you even go to this document right here, that name up there, that from, is redacted. So this is what happened. Pam Bondi, being the Attorney General, she gets a search history and everything. She unredacts everything when she puts it in here, meaning that her burn book has the unredacted names of the search history. So when she put this on her little paper, it's unredacted. So 2 of the names up here were redacted in what was released to the public. Big mistake, Pam. Maybe next time you'll be a little bit more cautious in the way that you put a burn book together. Instead of a got you for the members of Congress, maybe you'll be a little bit more cautious in the fact that you exposed yourself because that was an interesting email. And we're going to have to do a deep dive on Kira now to know why she was helping get girls for Epstein. This is your political mom. Educational purposes only. Viewers' discretion advised.
Political mom, don't know if you're here. If she is, tell her we look forward to seeing the rest of that research. I messaged her this morning. I wanted to see what she came up with there, so hopefully she gets back to me. But some people in MAGA are not handling this very well. This is Andy Frisella. I've showed you him before. Andy Frisella has been like the biggest Epstein guy, and this is really fucking him up that Trump is covering it up. And he's been kind of wishy-washy, like, I don't know, I don't really want to disagree with Trump, but this seems bad. Clown Meat says, shout out Jen. Thank you. Shout out Jen, everybody. This is what MAGA has become now. This is cope porn. Like if you love cope, if watching people cope is your thing, you're going to absolutely love this next clip.
Yeah. I see the public being intentionally enraged in order to put pressure so that the people can be held accountable. That's what the fuck I see.
Yeah. That's what he's doing. He's just making us all mad to generate enough pressure to release the truth about the Epstein files. He's not covering it up, guys. He's pretending to cover it up to make everybody mad so that then he can release it. I saw Alex Jones saying, it was like I don't remember whose show he's on. He's like, this is an exclusive. I have to tell you that Trump told everybody that they would be fired if they didn't release all the files. Sure, bud. Sure you did.
And here's the thing. I could be wrong. Okay? And that's why I say, hey, you can't count on that. Yep. And you have to do your part to organize and get involved in all these things that we talk about.
In the event that fails.
Correct. The problem is I can't think of another way to do it.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, the other way is everybody turn on Trump, right? Like the problem is you're starting with this idea that the guy covering it up is actually not covering it up. So now we got to figure out a different way to explain the cover up. And it is, as always, fucking 4D chess.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I can't think of another way to arrest heads of, government or
without just saying.
Well, other countries are doing it. They're not covering it up. They're just arresting them. So I guess you could do it that way.
Fuck everybody. Fuck the optics. Don't give a shit.
Because dude, if you don't have the public approval for that, you're the one that ends up getting held accountable. You don't think that Trump knows that? This isn't because dude, if we find out Trump's involved in this,
okay, cool,
wood
easy.
chipper,
done.
Yeah,
done.
Yeah, this is not loyalty to anybody. This is
No, you won't. It doesn't matter. No matter what comes out, you won't believe it. The only way for these people to believe that Trump did anything wrong is it would have to be on video, and it would have to be I don't know, you'd have to have forensic experts, like a million of them, say that it was legitimate. Because they just say it was fake. There's nothing. This is crazy. If it comes out, what do you mean if it comes out? He covered this shit up. He's covering it up now. What needs to come out? Is that the only thing you guys care about, is if he actually abused a child? It doesn't bother you that he's covering for these people?
Me evaluating strategically how you would actually do it in real life. I mean, we all like to say, fucking do it. But if he had come in on the first day and arrested all these people, 90% of the people thought all this shit was fake.
Right.
Okay. And most people have no idea how deep the fraud has been.
Huh? If he would have arrested people, 90% of the people thought it was fake. Huh? What are we even talking about here?
Yeah, that's just the iceberg.
Right.
And so the whole rest of it's underneath.
Right. You have all these things coming to light at once.
Uh-huh.
And then you look back at how he handled Venezuela and Greenland and strategically pretty much guaranteed that no country can be in control of what happens after that, something like to me.
Huh? What? What did he do? What was the strategic thing he did in Greenland? Just got on a microphone and was like, I want it. Give it to me.
Dude, you don't think that Trump knows that if he fucking did this, that he will go down in history as the greatest president of all time? You don't think?
Of course, he knows that. That's why it's alarming that he hasn't done anything. That's why a lot of us are like, maybe he's in on it.
He fucking knows that.
Yeah,
and by the way,
so.
I've seen other people saying this shit now.
Oh,
okay. Saying what I'm saying right now, that this is a strategic play. But let's just remember who said it first when nobody was fucking saying shit.
Yeah.
Whenever, because now we're starting to see other people with podcasts
I get it
who are
now.
very popular saying what I'm saying. And I would just like to remind everybody that
I was stupid first. I was fucking dumb before all of you. I was the dumbest. I had the worst fucking take. I was on this shit early. That's the dumbest Epstein take I've ever seen in my life. That Trump is playing 4D chess by getting us all to care about it. And then the arrests will come. All right. I want to show you how organized this is too, and how this is bought and paid for media. Shout out to Diligent Dennison, who took these screenshots here. But this is what actual like cover-ups look like. Here's Alex Jones. Kaboom! Just in, AG Pam Bondi just unleashed the full Epstein files under the Transparency Act. All 3.5 million pages dropped. Redactions justified only for victims and high-profile names exposed with zero cover-ups for embarrassment or politics. That doesn't make up for not doing it on time, by the way. And there's still some question as to whether or not this is everything. No records withheld or redacted based on embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity to any official, public figure, or foreign dignitary, except... Weirdly, there was like 5,300 documents when you search Trump's name, and now there's 4,700. So no records withheld or redacted based on embarrassment, reputational harm. Where did those go? It's like 500 or 600 documents with Trump are gone now. It's backfired bigly on the left. Powerful Dems like Bill Clinton mentioned 1,193 times, and others busted while fake smears against Trump called out as BS. Trump is... listed 950,000 times. So I don't know if you guys know about numbers, but this Alex has been right about a lot. Sure. But here's why I'm showing you this, because watch this. Notice what's highlighted here. Then Eric Doherty. Epstein's backfired. They're setting a new narrative. It backfired. Backfired bigly. Bill Clinton busted. Makes vindication for Trump from Gunther Eagleman. They'll all lie to you. They will all lie to you. They're just protecting Trump. It's painfully obvious at this point. I read the whole thing, what it said. They're just quoting the same words. Got that. Let's get this here. Amber said if he brought all the folks down, he may get that peace prize he wants, but he's in the files more than anybody else by a lot. Like you've never seen. Alex said, I saw someone say that this is why they're pushing AI so hard. They need AI videos to be advanced enough to create doubt. Any Epstein evidence that comes out, they didn't count on the Transparency Act. That's an interesting theory. I don't know if I buy that, but that's interesting. I'd be all right with that. Vindication. What was the vindication? How was he vindicated? We'll go through some of these. Like, he's not vindicated. In fact, the DOJ is smearing. This is from Ro Khanna. And here's the list here. Ro Khanna said the DOJ once again purposely muddying the waters on who is a predator and who is mentioned in an email. The Department of Justice released this in the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and they put out this list here. Noticeably, missing some people you might expect to see, but Maxwell, while other individuals are mentioned only in a portion of a document, including press reporting that on its face is unrelated to Maxwell and Maxwell Matters. Why did they put out all of these names? Joe Biden, Ashley Biden. Let's look for some of these. We've gone through these files. Like the mentions of Joe Biden and Ashley Biden are just news articles that were sent to Jeffrey Epstein, like they were automatically sent where he subscribed. They released this list to make it look like everybody's involved, but most of these people are just listed
based on the fact that they were in an article. Pretty dirty stuff by this administration to do that. No explanation there. Just put everybody together, then it looks like everybody's in on it. Now, Thomas Massie says, thanks for the files, but it looks like we're still covering shit up.
And finally, I know the DOJ wants to say they're done with this document production. The problem is they've taken down documents before we were able to go over to the DOJ and look at the unredacted versions. They took down some of the most significant documents, two of them involving Virginia Giuffre's case and other things, the picture of Epstein in a room where it's got CIA written on the boxes, that's been taken down. We want to be able to look at all these files. They can't keep those documents down after they've already produced them.
Why are we doing that, MAGA? I'm tired of trying to convince you, but like, we're just hiding shit now while saying we're transparent. You got to be the dumbest motherfuckers to still believe this shit. Godzilla God King says, can we move on now, RTP? The Dow is at 50,000 and the ballroom is almost done. Yeah, my bad. Sorry. And only thing backfiring bigly is Trump's lower intestine. That wrecked him. Damn near killed him. Or Trump. Just skunking people. Let's see what Marjorie Taylor Greene has to say. Here's an allegation I was unaware of. According to the Epstein. Not even an allegation, just a truth. And I want to show this clip, not for Marge, but for, what's her name? Keeping it real. What is her name? Somebody help me with her name. Biggest Loser lady. The Dow did go down. I don't know if it's back up now. Jillian Michaels. Watch Jillian Michaels come to grips with the fact that somebody she loves was hanging out with Epstein long after Epstein was a known predator.
They gave no care to horrors and evil and the things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, even to the point, like I read this morning that Dr. Oz invited Epstein to some Valentine's Day party he and his wife were having in 2016. This is Dr. Oz that's currently serving in the Trump administration over Oz. Medicare. Exactly. But
oh no. We might be the bad guys. Yeah, no shit. You hired a TV doctor. This is what you get when you hire celebrities. Maybe that's why he got hired. Oh, no, I can't hardly believe it. Well, believe it.
that was after Epstein had been convicted of pedophilia. So it's like, what? How do these people, and that's the hardest part. These are people that we may love, people that we have cheered for, people that I know I supported. And it's both sides of the aisle. Everybody has got to come to the horrible, nasty truth in our faces that they have all come together. And it was about making money. It was about influence. It was about power, and it is being part of the ruling world elites that have affected all of our lives. And if we as a country cannot swallow that down and hold our government accountable, Jillian, it's beyond. I think it's gone already, but it is past gone.
It is interesting to see the chat while talking about Dr. Oz inviting Jeffrey Epstein to a dinner, and the chat wants to talk about a black woman, want to talk about Oprah. It is really weird to like push that off on Oprah. I get it. I understand that's like she's the one that made Dr. Oz, but could we focus on Dr. Oz for a second? Could we not immediately just move away from the white dude? She's not responsible at all for Dr. Oz inviting Jeffrey Epstein to a Valentine's dinner. I don't know how much she's in the Epstein files. I'm not trying to clear her. I'm just pointing out it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction a lot of us have. That Clearly, the person who was in the wrong here is Dr. Oz. Why are we dragging Oprah into it? Dr. Oz is the problem here.
If we cannot do that, seriously, if we can't say this, no, we've had it with every single one of you.
Yes.
Get the out of here. Like,
all right. Oh. Cool. That's another person in this administration. How many more people in this administration? We got Lutnick. We got Oz. We got Trump. Who else do we have? We got Peter Thiel. We got Elon. How many more people need to be friends with it? Who else am I missing? RFK. Yeah, thank you. RFK in there. I don't know if is Rubio in there. I don't know if Rubio's in there. Dr. Oz is a Marxist. Yeah, sure he is. He sure is, that Marxist Dr. Oz. You guys got to figure out what words mean. I want to show this. This is from 9 years ago when Trump was first running. Just a reminder here of who we're dealing with. And a reminder that in the first administration, the Epstein death was covered up. We now know for a fact that the Trump administration lied about Jeffrey Epstein's death. They covered it up. They lied about certain elements. They removed video. They said that there wasn't any video. They've edited the video, all under the Trump administration. They let Epstein sit there alone. He was supposed to be checked on every 30 minutes. It went hours without checking on him. This all happened under the Trump administration the first time. And let's also remember what happened to the people who began to come out and accuse Donald Trump of committing crimes.
Yeah, Lena and Juan, definitely some confusion here since that woman who was accusing Trump of raping her when she was a child decided not to appear. Instead, her attorney came out and said that the woman was too afraid to speak. Now, this was a planned news conference, but it didn't happen. The woman had filed a lawsuit alleging Trump sexually assaulted her at several different parties in 1994 when she was only 13 years old. Attorney Lisa Bloom said the woman, who has gone by the pseudonym Jane Doe, had received numerous terrible threats and gave a short statement.
Jane Doe has received numerous threats today, as have all the Trump accusers that I have represented. She is living in fear. She has decided that she is too afraid to show her face. She's been here all day, ready to do it, but unfortunately, she's in terrible fear.
But Trump's attorneys have vigorously denied those allegations, and they're threatening legal action after the election. Juan and Lena?
9 years ago. Hits a little differently now. I'm glad that we have archives so we can go back and see this stuff, but now that hits a little bit differently, doesn't it? Knowing that people have been disappeared, knowing Virginia Giuffre said, like, hey, I'll never unalive myself. I'm good. And then it happened. Thank you, Alyssa, for the donation. Appreciate you. Just a reminder, guys, we got about, I am going to have a, we might not even make it all the way till 1 o'clock. We'll see. But I will have a hard stop at 1 today. So anything we do to knock out the rest of that gift goal in the next hour would be great. We can go over it too. That'd be fine too. Jen and I have a lot of unexpected bills to pay now. So we may be doing more events. We may be spending more time on the internet, but anything you guys can do to help us out. And then just a reminder, we do have paid subscriptions on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. And not today, but the next Monday, we're going to finish up our series, Hitler and the Nazis. We do a movie night every other Monday. I think on either Wednesday or Friday night, I'm going to do a congressional hearing, and we'll watch that. That'll be a members-only event. It'll be on YouTube and Twitch, but it'll be private. So if you're not a paid member, you won't see that. We'll release it after a week, probably. But anything you could do there as well, that goes a long way. When we know there's a subscriber base, that helps us determine what we're going to do in the future. And again, we're just trying to upgrade a few things. We want to upgrade our editing and then our form here, make it look a little bit better. So thank you guys in advance for all that support. Moving on here, this is News Girl Reports. The links to I think perhaps what needs to be said and what we all probably need to address is that if there is an institution that is powerful, whether it be on the right or the left, it's likely that Jeffrey Epstein was involved. It's likely that Jeffrey Epstein was using his influence to be involved, and it's likely he was using his influence to call in favors. This is again, News Girls reports about the Epstein connections now being reported with the New York City hospital.
Documents in the Epstein files are showing how the country's most prestigious
Diet Pepsi said for a ham sandwich. Thank you.
hospital gave Epstein special medical access, treated the girls that were staying with him, and gave him medical equipment for his island. And this is all after he was a registered sex offender. There are emails like this between Epstein's staff and a cardiologist at Mount Sinai in New York, brainstorming how to get ambulances to Epstein's sex trafficking island and ranch in New Mexico. And these are the pictures they're sending back and forth. Epstein also had close ties to doctors at Mount Sinai, like a surgeon named Jess Ting, who was on call on the weekend for Epstein when he was flying home to New York with someone who fell off an ATV and needs stitches in her forehead and an x-ray to ensure no concussion. Epstein even got Mount Sinai to write a letter to the US Embassy in Belarus to get his longtime girlfriend, Karina Shalaik's mom, a medical visa to the US in 2014. So his influence at this nonprofit health system was clearly enormous, and it was partially because of his billionaire contacts. He had a private VIP line to the Mount Sinai emergency room where he was referred to as a friend of Ava Dubin's. But Epstein also bought himself influence at the hospital. He donated $100,000 to the hospital's Ritzy 11 West Wing. He also invited doctors to his island, socialized with them at New York and Palm Beach events. Politico also found that he donated $50,000 to that surgeon Jess Ting's research. But because he was a registered sex offender, Politico found that he had to donate under pseudonyms. Like, this is so weird. Uncle F or Enhanced Education.
Isn't it crazy? Like, we just do this thing. Do this thing in America. That every time something like this comes up, and it's not just the Epstein files, like it's everything. We look the other way with abuse. We reject the evidence in front of our eyes. We dismiss abuse. We accept that abuse just happens. We don't alienate people for their abuse. I'm really tired of abusers not being held accountable. I'm really tired of people who abuse others being justified. It's a personal thing for me. It's a very deeply personal thing for me. Because it like perhaps that's what American culture is. Protecting men who abuse women. Justifying abuse by men who abuse women. And it's men, and it's even more like, it's even more gutting when you see women standing with the men who are abusing. Reading through these Epstein files, it's fucking gross. Like, it's gross always, but it's always, to me, like harder to stomach when it's like, it's a woman that's talking to him, that's just ignoring that behavior, that's inviting him to something. Hey, can you join our board? Could you, we're trying to fundraise. Well, we don't mind if you're a convicted sex criminal. All these hospitals, they all knew he was a convicted sex criminal. They're covering for him. We'll take anybody's money. We don't care. We have no standards. We'll take the money.
Mount Sinai has not commented on these associations or how disturbing it is that these world-renowned doctors were bending over backwards for this sex predator's money. But the Miami Herald did report that in 2019, after Epstein went to prison in New York, Mount Sinai pledged $15,000 to a charity that is supposed to combat trafficking and sexual exploitation. We, the Newsgirls, will continue to report on the Epstein files and hold power accountable, so make sure to follow to stay in the loop.
There we go. Follow newsgirls.reports. Great video there. I got that one. Thank you, Austin Sophia. You've been very generous today. I appreciate that. And thank you, Jessica, as well. Did I miss one over here? Don't think so. Clown Meat said, yes, at Dan the Shark, yes, we fund public figures who do good work. You do double backflips on the government. Oh, are they mad that we're crowdfunded? Did we make MAGA mad that we're crowdfunded? Yeah, it's a cool thing. Let me tell you, it does make me feel better about my job, knowing that I don't answer to anybody and people are free to choose whether or not to support me or not. That makes me feel good. I would rather do that than take corporate money and take corporate talking points. So all you guys, thank you very much. Okay, moving on here. Josh Johnson cracks me up. Josh Johnson just reminding us that Elon Musk really fucked up.
Remember when Elon got into it with Trump, and then he was like, time to drop the big bomb that Trump is in the Epstein files. That's why I haven't come out yet. And he tried to do that mic drop, and then How stupid do you have to be? You didn't just throw stones while you lived in a glass house. You seem to have thrown the stone through your glass floor. This dude emailed Jeffrey Epstein and was over here. Hey, I'm looking to spend some time, have a vacation. It'd be great to hang out at the island with you. Like, you want to hang out at the island? I'd love to come to the island with you. And the girls, there'll be girls there. So let's go to I want to hang out at your island with you. And we'll do whatever stuff. I mean, I want to go crazy too. So whatever stuff you do, that's what I want to do. I want to do all the stuff that you do with the girls at your island. I want to be with you at your island doing stuff and whatever stuff you have in mind, like crazy stuff. Let's lose our minds. Let's go crazy together at your island. I'm surprised that Jeffrey Epstein did not think Elon Musk was the police. The way that this man was emailing so thirsty. This is the most narc email I've ever seen in my life. This man, oh no, with you and the girls, you know, because there'll be girls there, right? It's like, I've never seen somebody send an email like they were wearing a wire.
Damn Yankee. Somebody remove Damn Yankee. Go fuck yourself, dude. You're gonna get it together. Thank you. We don't do just like blatant racism here. Appreciate that. Sometimes you guys dog whistle and I don't catch it, but you can't just be like blatantly bigot here. All right. Remember this call? This is a call. We played it on the show here, but this is Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel. And I think that what is lost perhaps on many MAGA, and maybe this isn't the story that gets told enough, but what Jeffrey Epstein did to abuse victims is the most important part of all of this. It is horrific. They deserve to be heard. They deserve justice. On top of that, Jeffrey Epstein seemed to be moving a lot of parts together. And those parts that he was moving together all seem to be orbiting around Trump when it comes to like the most influential people. You can see like with Reid Hoffman, for example, who's a large Democrat donor and who was friends with Epstein. You go through what he was doing with Reid Hoffman, and a lot of it was like personal stuff. You look at the Clintons' connections. A lot of that was more personal stuff. But when it came to the people that are surrounding Trump now, that Howard Lutnick, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen. I don't know if Andreessen's in there, actually. I'm going to leave. Well, he does talk about Andreessen Horowitz here, actually. No, Andreessen is in there. Epstein is the one that keeps linking all of these people together.
He thought there was two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel. And everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts sort of strange.
For the record, after this call, he met Peter Thiel, and then they became good friends, and they worked a lot together. I'm actually going to go back to last week's outline real quick while this is pulling up, and I'll find this.
Like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah.
Yeah.
He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir.
These people running the world are so stupid. This is Jeffrey Epstein telling the ex-Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak that he is going to put him in touch with Peter Thiel of Palantir.
So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week.
Epstein to Peter Thiel. Brexit, just the beginning. Peter Thiel says, of what?
All right. So I just want to show that call, but now I'm going to go back and sorry to the mods. I don't have, this is actually on Tuesday's outline last week if you want to pull this up. But I want to go and show some stuff that we never got to, and I totally forgot about this until right now. So let me go. Is it here? Yeah, I want to start here. This is from December 25th of 2016. This is an email between Boris Nikolic and Jeffrey Epstein. You'll see here from Boris Nikolic, have fun. Hope to see you on the 4th. I leave for San Francisco on the 5th. Jeffrey Epstein. 4th, I'm in Palm with all the Trump boys. 2016. Yeah, Tony Tigris. Reid Hoffman is much worse than, I agree with you. Reid Hoffman is much worse than Howard Lutnick with his connections to Epstein. In fact, you could probably overlook
what Lutnick did if Lutnick didn't come out and publicly lie about it. The big problem with Lutnick for me, there doesn't seem to be any real wrongdoing there other than he knew. I mean, as a father, I would never let my child be at the island of a convicted sex offender. But the big thing with Lutnick is that he was lied about. But yeah, Reid Hoffman's significantly closer to Epstein than Lutnick. And I apologize if I made it sound like Lutnick was worse. Reid Hoffman's way worse in this case. But just a reminder that at least Epstein in 2016 is talking about I'll be in Palm Beach with the Trump boys. Let's keep moving on. How about this? This is from Epstein to Peter Thiel. Epstein says to Peter Thiel, Brexit just the beginning. Return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high. And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. What's the, if a zero interest rate is too high for loans, what would the interest rate be? It is crazy to watch these billionaires talk about how they're going to change the world fundamentally. I want to remind you who Peter Thiel is, too. Peter Thiel, who helped found Palantir, and now Palantir CEO Alex Karp. These are the people that we're dealing with. Remember that Alex Karp said this. These are not sane people. And when you see that last email, where it says Brexit, just the beginning, and then return to tribalism, counter to globalization. What would the counter to globalization be? Nationalization, right? One national powerhouse. Amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high. As I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. Peter Thiel and Epstein specifically talking about like global collapse and the rise of new powers. Maybe they're talking about people like Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, who said this.
You need a higher purpose. And I also think you often need a lower purpose. Like the higher purpose for me.
What's a lower purpose?
Well, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us. So that's my lower purpose. And
just as important as having a higher purpose.
Yeah, and others.
What's alarming during this time is that I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's joking," but he's not. He's not joking. He's actually a sick fuck. Amber said, "Christian civilization emerges as the most violent and genocidal in world history. Compared to Islam, Christianity is a clear winner. 31.94 deaths by Muslims to 177.94 million deaths by Christians. I guess congrats, Christians."
But the higher purpose for me was to get this nation to be the preeminent power in the world, because whatever faults we have, they're nothing like anyone else's.
All right, so just back to this, return to tribalism, counter to globalism, amazing new alliances. This is what Epstein was talking about with Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel founded Palantir. It's also important to remember that Peter Thiel was like really the only tech billionaire who got behind Trump early on. He started MAGA 3X in 2016. He was really the only one that was willing to back Trump. He saw something that everybody else didn't. You can see here. Where is it? Is this the wrong link? Oh no, I think this is it. Peter Thiel to Jeffrey Epstein. No dietary restrictions in regards to coming for dinner. We're looking forward to seeing you on Friday in our Thiel Capital office. Please see below for details. Peter Thiel in April of 2016, as he's funding Donald Trump's campaign, is meeting with Jeffrey Epstein. And then he says some shit like this that's like, let's go back to this email. Return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. This is Nazism. This is the same ideology. Return to tribalism, the Aryan race, counter to globalization. We will be the world power. Tired of all these alliances coming together, fucking people like us over. We want to be able to do whatever we want, so we've got to take over these other countries so they stop the globalization, amazing new alliances. Here's what Peter Thiel said about the connection between how he views our position now and the position in 1920s Germany, which started all this shit, started World War I, World War II.
I don't think we're ever in a cyclical world, but there are certainly certain parallels in the U.S. in the 2020s to Germany in the 1920s, where liberalism is exhausted. One suspects that democracy, whatever that means, is exhausted, and we have to ask some questions very far outside the Overton window. I don't think we're ever in a cyclical world, but
this is 1920s Weimar Germany. Can we call you guys Nazis yet? Are we there yet? And then let's look at how they then started collecting people. This is in 2015. Now that we know that Epstein's working with his closest, the people he's working the closest with on especially political stuff is Peter Thiel and Steve Bannon. Peter Thiel, Donald Trump's first billionaire backer, or like tech billionaire backer, and Steve Bannon, who basically ran Trump's 2016 campaign and also worked with Russia to help influence the election. He was also working on the Brexit campaign, trying to fuck up Europe as well. And everywhere Steve Bannon goes, it's the same thing. Immigrants are the problem. Nationalism is key. We have to come together to get rid of globalization. The same thing every time. But I want to show you some emails here and some pictures. This is Epstein to Peter Thiel and Sergey Brin. Is it Brin? Is that his last name? From Google here? Peter, Sergey, Peter. There's the introduction. Peter Thiel to Sergey. Sergey, let me know when you're in San Francisco and it'd be a good time to meet. I'm CCing my assistant, Alyssa, to help coordinate. I assume this is Sergey. Peter, I'm going to arrive to San Francisco on July 8th and looking forward to see you. Maybe it's not Sergey Brin. Who is this? I don't know who that Sergey is. And then we have this dinner, August 3rd, 2015. What do we got there? That's Zuck. There's Elon right there. This is Jeffrey Epstein taking this picture. Peter Thiel's at this dinner. 2015, they all knew. They all knew that he was a convicted pedophile at that point. It's everywhere. His influence was everywhere. Let me see if I can find this. This clip should have been in here, but protecting your countries from other countries isn't inherently bad. Cool, but why are you doing it with all these pedophiles? If I can find this. Is this the one? Let's see. Sorry, I should have this on the outline. Let me find it. I may have to show it tomorrow. Even Joe Rogan said he was invited, I think in 2017, to meet with Epstein. So this is 6 weeks after Donald Trump announces that he's going to run. In 2015. Peter Attia is here. Mark Zuckerberg is here. Elon Musk is here. And you remember that, like, what Bannon did with Epstein is they used Zuckerberg's Facebook and they harvested the data, which was illegal, and they took that data and they created profiles of potential Trump voters. And what they did is they created like a profile of a Trump voter. Who would it be? It's gonna be white people. They're gonna be rural. It's gonna be people who are afraid of immigrants. It's gonna be people who are prone to believe in conspiracy theory. And between the Trump campaign and Russia and other foreign governments, they targeted these people using Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook to help Trump win in 2016. So now, like, why are we not bringing in Zuckerberg and Elon and Peter Thiel? Why have they not been subpoenaed? This is far worse than Clinton. This is after everybody knew. We're just having business meetings with Jeffrey Epstein. Here's this email showing it.
This is from Epstein to Peter Attia. Where are you? I might be in LA Monday. Burbank to look at the interior of another BBJ. Tonight, dinner with Musk, Thiel, Zuckerberg. Then obviously there's the picture of their dinner. You think these social media platforms aren't being curated? Did we make it through TikTok? Did we get banned on TikTok today? I don't even know. TikTok, are you still here? Did I get banned on TikTok yet? Is this the first day we didn't get banned? God damn. Shouldn't have said anything. Yeah, TikTok's still up. All right, back to the outline here. I want to talk about Sasha Riley, because now we're starting to get some confirmation.
Sasha claims that in the...
Now, for the record, this very well could be misinformation. Not misinformation. This is somebody taking a guess. But if you've listened to the Sasha Riley interview, you know that there is a very specific claim that Sasha Riley made about Donald Trump, which is about taking a wooden stake and helping it inside of Donald Trump, and that he had to be life flighted because of this. Now, you would think if this happened, we'd have a record of it, but a life flight from the 80s, we might not have a record of that. Trump certainly would never admit it, but here is a connection here that makes sense.
Sasha claims that in the process of being sexually abused by Donald Trump, Sasha inflicted a serious injury to Donald Trump's colorectal system, one that required Trump to be, and I quote, life flighted out. That incident allegedly occurred in 1986. In 2016, Dr. Bornstein, in an unplanned interview, let slip the fact that Donald Trump had been his patient not for 39 years, and not even for 35 years for that matter, but for 30 years. 30 years prior to 2016 is 1986. The dates of the alleged injury and of Donald Trump, starting with Dr. Harold Bornstein, a gastroenterologist, line up perfectly.
Again, I'm not making the claim, but the timeline matches up there. I want to show you this too. Like, Epstein is sending this to Peter Thiel. This is bizarre. My hypothesis, and many others, is that Jeffrey Epstein was largely behind the Pizzagate and the QAnon stuff. Not necessarily like, and it wasn't necessarily wasn't like, oh, it's not Epstein, it's somebody else. It was linking Epstein to other people. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell was very well connected as one of the original moderators for 4chan. We know that Epstein met with the owner of 4chan, and right after meeting with the owner of 4chan, like the next day, our poll went up, which has been like the source for all of QAnon and Pizzagate. Here is Epstein sending this to Peter Thiel. It's the WikiLeaks Podesta emails, which is what covers Pizzagate. Why would Epstein be sending Peter Thiel, again in 2016, this man is backing Donald Trump and who has backed him completely? By the way, Peter Thiel is who is responsible for J.D. Vance existing as vice president, accused of being a groomer. There's accusations that Peter Thiel goes to Harvard, Stanford, Yale, and he finds loners that might seem conservative, and again, rumors that then he gets them to perform sexual acts on him, and then in return they get funding for their startup, which ironically, J.D. Vance got some funding right out of college. And then when that failed, Peter Thiel wasn't even mad about it, lost his money, and then was like, that's fine, I'll fund your Senate campaign instead. And funded his Senate campaign. Then J.D. Vance, who was nowhere near the short list for VP, suddenly Peter Thiel holds a fundraising event for Donald Trump in Silicon Valley, and Trump comes back 3 days later and is like, J.D. Vance is actually going to be my VP. He had already like dropped a list of 5 potential names. J.D. Vance wasn't on it. And then he came back from this meeting with Peter Thiel and all of his buddies, and all of a sudden J.D. Vance was the VP candidate. Roy said, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I appreciate that, Marshawn. Didn't need that picture. That's just Peter Thiel looking like a psycho. We'll finish off with this. I'm going to go to this Breaking Points video because this is
It's a good segue too.
Yeah, it is about a week old, but I thought they did a good job breaking down that turns out maybe Pizzagate was real, just not the people that you thought it was.
Our last piece here, which is just some of the things that
JD Vance is fucking awesome. Sure, bud. Nobody has ever thought JD Vance is awesome until he was around with Trump. You just like licking assholes. Nobody ever before thought JD Vance was awesome. There's nothing redeeming about that man.
you can't even really categorize. You know, they just depict the absolute depraved, disgusting, like beyond belief.
Didn't JD since go through conversion therapy for his tendencies? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. Is that true?
Type of activity, you know, it hints at it, right? This is all the little glimpses that we get. And we've talked about this before because, I mean, it really does. The birthday book was very eye-opening for me. Page after page of the most
Thanks, Ortiz.
disgusting, disturbing, dystopian references where that was the moment when we both were, oh, Eyes Wide Shut is the documentary. Like, this is real life. And I genuinely, I believe so firmly now in the strongest
TNC Wars, so they're all fucking Nazis. Yeah. I mean, these are real Nazis. Like, Peter Thiel is a legitimate Nazi. This isn't the people that are MAGA that don't realize that they share Nazi ideology. These are people who like Naziology. These are people who have studied Nazi ideology and they've studied the Nazis and they're like, you know what? I think they were right. That's who Peter Thiel really is.
possible way that being a billionaire, being extraordinarily powerful, being extraordinarily influential, you know, well-positioned in these ways, it destroys your soul. It destroys your soul. It's not only bad for society, it is bad for you personally. And so, as you said, you know, this type of depraved behavior, it's not new. This is something you see repeated over millennia.
Thanks, Lee.
With the, you know, top elites of their time, where the best I can psychologize is that, you know, because they have so much and because they also see themselves.
Good. J6, that's true. We do watch Hitler documentaries and we learn, when we watch them, we're like, oh, that's bad. Peter Thiel watches them and goes, oh, that's good. That is the difference between us, is that when we watch them, we learn that Hitler was bad. And Peter Thiel's like, yeah, that's pretty good ideas.
As being this distinct, you know, class of humans that are separate and above from all the rest, that first of all, it excuses any sort of horror and abuse. And Jeffrey Epstein, clearly, if you read these emails, has a specific like Jewish supremacist ideology that he believes in, which is part of his own mental architecture of why he believes he's justified in doing all of these things that he does, because he's different. He's special. He's separate. These girls that he's abusing,
I'm gonna let this play for a second. I'll be right back. I gotta run to the bathroom.
Don't count in the same way. There's one email that we were talking about where he's pissed off at Bill Gates asking him for money for his projects in Africa. And he's basically like, this is some Catholic bullshit where they believe every human life is equal. That's what he says. Like that, he does not believe that every human life is equal. And he's disgusted that Bill Gates might subscribe to that ideology. So in any case, you know, I think you get that mentality, you get this level of decadence, you know, the normal pleasures that you and I engage in, like they don't hit the same. And so you just do this increasingly disgusting and depraved behavior and end up with, I mean, things that I think most ordinary people could not even conceive of. So let's go ahead and put this, some of this together. Again, these are like the glimpses we get in these emails, right? There's this video of Epstein in a kitchen, and the girls here are redacted. Girls, women, we don't know their age. You can tell from the reflection that it is females, and you can hear their voices. You can see him like chasing them around the kitchen island, you know, in his sweatpants, and they're, you know, giggling, and he's going after them. That's enough of that. Let's put G2 up on the screen. This is another one of these perplexing photos where you're like, why did you let yourself be photographed like this? We don't know who this dude is.
They were so unafraid. Like they were so convinced that they would never get caught that they just allowed themselves to be photographed like this.
with his belly hanging out in, his underwear, and then two females.
By the way, I just want to point out, I'm not saying that this photo that these types of photos exist with Trump, but if they did exist, we wouldn't see them. They would be hidden. I don't think there's a single one of you that believes if a photograph like this existed of Donald Trump that we would see it. Even those that are on Trump's side, I think you all know that they would hide this. And again, I'm not saying that there is. But if you're spending time with Epstein, clearly he was photographing a lot of people, doing a lot of things.
Of indeterminate age, potential victims, we don't know. They're with him. So you got that one. Let's put this G3 up on the screen. This is from a Harvard professor. Yeah. So it says, our spy was captured after completing her mission. This is from the Harvard professor. And Epstein replies, did you torture her? Okay. What does that mean?
I know you guys asked that. I don't think Biden would have shown them. I don't think Biden knew. I don't think he ever even ventured here. I think Biden thought this was all bull. I don't think he believed it. But if he did, then yeah, that's a good argument. If Biden, it'd be nice to know if what Biden knew about what was in here. But that is a good argument if Biden did know what was in here. If Biden knew, yeah, I think he would have shown them. But there's a lot of stuff that I feel like Biden would have shown that has come out. There's a lot of this stuff that Biden could have put out that would have been really damaging to Trump's campaign. And he didn't put that out. So I'm kind of left to I'm left in the middle. If there's stuff that would have been really damaging to Trump, why didn't he release it? I don't think he knew. That's just my guess, though. We don't know.
Does that mean what it appears?
No, the files weren't sealed till 2025. They were sealed till 2023. Biden could have released them in his final year.
To mean, is this some sort of a joke, an inside joke between the two of you? There were a number of references to torture in all of this. In addition, let's put G4 up on the screen. There was also a lot of language that appears to be coded regarding food. I wanted to let you know
Say because he's protecting Democrats. Look, I just don't think there's that many people that have connections to Joe Biden here, other than sharing the same party. I don't think that Donald Trump would give a fuck if it was a Republican that was in the files, and there's a lot of Republicans in these files and Democrats. But Trump is going to he'll protect people in his cabinet or people that he's done business with, but I don't see any connection, any sort of close connection between Joe Biden and anybody else that's in the files. Even somebody like Reid Hoffman, at best he gave Joe Biden money, but there's no connection there that they spent time together, that they were friends, that they worked together on projects that I'm aware of. So maybe again, I'm not going to exonerate Joe Biden like I know, but we really don't think he would he wouldn't selectively edit it. He wouldn't selectively release stuff. If he's going to be president and he wants to damage Trump, wouldn't he just selectively release some of the files?
Who really appreciated the pizza. Another email read, this is better than a Chinese cookie. See attached. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. This one talks about, yeah, that's the pizza. You mean radiating a soft glow with the look of bliss and excitement. There's one more, I think, in this list as well. Sorry, I have no stomach for even the slightest aggro. I don't have the stomach for it for any drama, imaginary or real. I'm still fragile off the last one and scared of shadows. This is in response to some videos that were shared where Jeffrey Epstein himself says, I watched all of these videos, don't send any more. And then Ghislaine is like...
Yeah, actually, good point. Netanyahu, that's a good point, Shannon and Kyle. I do think that his love for Netanyahu and Israel could have been potentially a reason for Joe Biden not to release the files. That's a good point.
I can't stomach any of this. What the fuck did you send that Jeffrey Epstein was like, no more?
Well, and remember that they have some...
Rebecca says, keep pissing off MAGA. Love you guys. Thank you.
Sort of OPSEC, because previously it said not for email. I especially more recently after becoming a parent, I find a lot of this stuff extremely difficult to even look at and just think about how people could end up in this type of situation, and just the casual callous nature in which they would talk a lot about women and use them as tools. I mean, for example, let's put this next one up here from Emily that she was able to find. The Snow White was effed twice as soon as she put on her costume. Don't forget there were previous, references to a Snow White that we previously had made here before on the show regarding Jess Staley. We don't know if he was the person who sent this email, and perhaps this was just some sick game that he would set up for him and his friends, but you could see that. Put G6 up here on the screen. This was some guy who was proposing that Epstein would participate in some sort of modeling contest for all of the top girls inside of Russia. And so, like, these are all just like schemes, you know, with power and all of them behind them to victim.
I like what you say, like the FBI is no friend to Donald Trump, but they are friends to Jeffrey Epstein. Thinking that the FBI is no friend to Trump, one, I disagree with that. I think the FBI has actually been pretty friendly to Trump, but they were friendly to Epstein. So why would they release the files to take out Trump when they have all these secrets here? Like, the FBI is implicated in this. The CIA is implicated in this. The FBI, these being leaked makes the FBI look awful. The FBI wouldn't leak this.
And to get women in positions of which they're subordinate to him, in which he's powerful over them. And look, I mean, we showed you guys the Andrew photos, but there's all kinds of creepy shit in there. Like, if you go through, and there are hundreds of these photos, I clicked through the vast majority of them, people in like very compromising, like weird sexual positions. By the way, the DOJ even accidentally released nude photographs in some cases. That most of them have been released now, but just to show you like their own redaction process. But the unfortunate part is they redact the names in many cases of like powerful guys. And then some of these women, you know, their photographs or others are being released without their consent or in a compromising position, and they don't do anything about it. It's terrible. But yeah, I mean, just my overall takeaway is there was some sick, deep, depraved stuff that was happening there. And I mean, this is part of the difficulty where, look, the pizza's like, you know, everyone likes to make fun of Pizzagate and all of that. And sure, you know, it got out of control. However, the original idea of people referring to CSAM as pizza was a thing. That's kind of what the connection became. And you can look, I mean, you can't deny that a lot of these emails.
So now that we have these emails and it's out there, like this is where you start to see how Jeffrey Epstein and his connections were able to manipulate this. The Podesta emails come out. You have these references. And how does it's clear that Epstein used his connections on 4chan and then later on 8chan to push the information kind of away from his people. You'll notice that inside the Epstein files now, you see like his inner circle. It's Steve Bannon's probably his closest friend. He was working very closely with Peter Thiel. Steve Bannon and Peter Thiel were never mentioned in the QAnon stuff. In fact, Steve Bannon was pushing the QAnon stuff, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, Steve Bannon is Q." They all thought Steve Bannon was the one pushing it, and that he was the one that invented this, and wrongfully. A lot of us were like, this whole thing's fucking made up. It doesn't make sense. And the part that was missing to connect it was any real evidence. And then we get the Epstein files and it's like, holy fucking shit, there's all the evidence. This pizza stuff was real. It just wasn't who they said it was. It wasn't Hillary Clinton. It wasn't Podesta. None of that shows up in these emails. Instead, it's Peter Thiel. It's Mark Zuckerberg. It's Prince Andrew. It's allegedly the Trumps. It's Bill Gates, and it's not like eating people. It's not like eating children. They just made this crazy like push. And remember Trump like pretending he didn't know who QAnon was. He's like, oh, I've never heard of QAnon. That's where we got Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was QAnon. So ironically, Marjorie Taylor Greene now is like, well, I did believe this, but now that I've got better evidence, it's clear that it was Epstein and these folks. It wasn't the QAnon conspiracy theory.
Are very strange and do not make any sense in the context of actually talking about pizza, because it was internet slang that was previously that you were able to make the relation. I just don't see how you can't connect it, at least in some way. It's kind of like the Podesta thing. Everybody says you're a kook. Go and look at photos from Tony Podesta's house if you've never seen it before. And you're not going to say at the very least a weird shit, or it looked weird as shit in terms of the art in and of itself.
Yeah. Let me read one of these pizza ones again. This is better than a Chinese cookie. See attached. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand. Does that seem like a normal thing that
you draw your own
a couple of billionaires be sending to each other?
That's what I mean. You draw
out refusing to accept the cannibalism. Look, I'm not opposed to this idea that like cannibalism happened, and it's possible that there's parts in the Epstein files that I haven't seen, but I personally haven't seen anything in these files that points to cannibalism. So I'm not, what you probably shouldn't rule out anything. I won't rule it out. But if you've got evidence of that, excuse me, I'll welcome it. I just haven't seen it personally.
About pizza and grape soda?
Yeah, you draw your own conclusions about what that means. Like, I have no other way to describe it to you. It's just one of those where clearly they were up to some. I mean, don't forget that even in 2019, if you look at his Amazon receipts, which Bloomberg went through, I mean, he was ordering all this like crazy sex shit on Amazon, which is in his receipts.
Yeah.
And on top of Lolita, the revised annotated copy.
Right.
You know, it's like it was so out in the open, not only in terms of his friend group, but from behind the scenes.
Cannibalism jerky in the files? Okay, I haven't come across it. I'll check it out. I'm going to take your guys' word for it that it's in there. I have not. Again, I've been absent for like 4 straight days, so I haven't come across that. I'll look it up when we're done in the files, but I won't speak on it because I don't know.
All the stuff they were up to. And remember, everything we've shown you today is what they put in email.
Well,
and he had insight into what he wouldn't put into email. And there clearly was something.
A couple other things to say about that. So when, was it Todd Blanche that announced the Epstein files release? Anyway, he said that they left out any images of torture, death, abuse.
Yeah.
That means they had images of torture, death, and abuse. That, okay, so they still are holding on to.
The fuck? Okay, my bad. Francis has time to come tomorrow to show me how to make it. This is Epstein to... Title is Jerky. He also bring you a taste of his new jerky recipe from the restaurant and sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called Cannibal and Cooks. Wait for it, beef jerky and steak. All right. Was unaware of this. Thank you.
To that, which, I mean, true, I don't want to see that material, but it seems like potentially there needs to be some investigations there. Right. Nobody was implicated outside of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Nobody else. There's nothing here of anyone that can be charged. I want to underscore again that by the government's own admission, there were 6 million files and they narrowed it down to 3 million files. So we are getting the hand-picked view that they want us to have. So it's really important to...
So that was Francis Derby was who that was? Oh, there was a legit restaurant. That was a real restaurant called The Cannibal. Okay, I'll look more into it. I've just started, before the show started, I was getting into the stuff in New Mexico, and it sounds like, I know there's like some bodies buried, and I don't have the information on that, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Keep that in mind as well. One thing with regard to the Pizzagate thing.
That one took me out by TikTok? Oh, shit. My bad.
So it looks from the files that Epstein met with the 4chan guy who started the Paul board on 4chan, which was the place where Pizzagate and QAnon, where they come from, okay? And they met on the same day that board begins. So there's a lot of theorizing about, you know, I mean, this is a tale as old as time, that the culture war is used to distract people from the real problems in society and the globe, which is the power of these very billionaires. So, you know, it's not crazy to imagine that they found all of these kooky conspiracy theories to be very useful that were, you know, I mean, Pizzagate was...
Is Bill Clinton going to wear the blue dress? That'd be sweet. He should do it. If he's innocent somehow, which it's hard to believe Bill Clinton would be innocent in all this. If he showed up in that blue dress, that'd be crazy. That'd be a good move.
Stupid and bizarre. And so it made it very easy, and so was QAnon. And so it made it very easy for people to see all of this, the real things that were going on, as preposterous, right? And so the New York Times of the world and whatever wouldn't deign to look into it, media organizations involved directly in cover-ups, et cetera, because it was all painted as like just the hobby horse of these crazy fringe conspiracy theorists. And again, like Pizzagate and QAnon were ridiculous things. Were they sort of put out there intentionally so that you are making the real part also seem like it's preposterous and like it's just an icky...
Oh, is that what it is? Is that the dress he's in? It's Monica Lewinsky's dress? I didn't know that. That's what he's wearing in that. Do you know what we're like in that painting?
Conspiracy theory. That is, one possibility. I'm not saying that's proven by this, but that is one possibility here. Let's put the next piece up on the screen from, this is a Daily Mail write-up.
I didn't know that.
Of some of the allegations that were contained from a victim in these files. They say Jeffrey Epstein raped underage girls several times a day as part of a sickening routine, detailed in new documents released by the Department of Justice. An alleged victim in a civil complaint filed in Florida in 2010 revealed the process that young girls endured upon their arrival at his Palm Beach mansion. Each girl was brought to his home in private transportation arranged by Epstein, greeted by an assistant who collected her personal information, then led up a remote flight of stairs to a room containing a shower and massage table. If it was her first encounter with the pedophile...
Do I think Monica was involved with Epstein? I've seen no evidence of that. I wouldn't make that assumption unless I saw something.
Another girl would be in the room to lead the way before being dismissed by Epstein, the alleged victim claimed. Epstein would then have his massage wearing only a small towel, which eventually would be removed. He gave his victim specific instructions as to where and how he wanted things done and would order them to strip naked. The complaint released in Friday's Epstein files revealed. So this is, one of the alleged victims. This is what she told the FBI. And I mentioned this earlier. I mentioned it again. We did get a look of that draft indictment before the sweetheart deal is crafted, where you had, a dozen plus victims who had come forward and testified in very similar terms to this level of abuse that they had been subjected to, girls as young as 14.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to end it there. And I just want to do one more thing because for anybody who claims that there are no credible accusations regarding Donald Trump, I just want to show you this document here. Now, this is scroll up. I don't need that. What was that? There. We scroll all the way up to the top here. This is the Epstein investigations. This is a FBI memo that they released on basically their breakdown of the Epstein investigations. And I want to just alert you to here. This goes over just the timeline of when he was arrested, what the evidence was. And then we get down here, and this is before the Epstein files obviously were released. We get to, where is it? Here. In the prominent names section. And let's see if I can show you here. We get to Trump. And there's two accusations here. One on Trump. Blank stated Epstein introduced her to Trump, who subsequently forced her head down to his exposed member, which she subsequently bit. In response, Trump punched her in the head and kicked her out. Date range 1983 to 1985 would have been 13 to 15. And the second one here, remember, Epstein introduced her to Trump saying, "This is a good one, huh?" And Trump responded, "Yes." Now, this particular one, let me make sure here. Here actually has been verified as a legitimate witness. She was one of the people that got Maxwell convicted. So we have credible accusations here for people who have already been found credible in other courts in leading to Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction. How is it debunked, Papa Bear? Tell me how it got debunked. How in the world would you debunk that? Was she lying about Maxwell then too? Is that where we landed? Let me open that back up. Anyways, I'll get more on that. I've got some catching up to do on the Epstein stuff. I'm going to play this clip. This is unrelated, but I just wanted to talk to my audience for a little bit. If you're not my audience, you don't need to stick around for this. Again, I just want to point out that I do support Jasmine Crockett. However, I don't hate James Tallarico, and I think James Tallarico often says some things that I agree with. And I wanted to play this message before we left.
You preach about love, but isn't that just too weak
For the I didn't say Pizzagate got debunked. What are you talking about? I said that the idea that it wasn't Epstein and it didn't like they pointed to everybody but the major players.
Moment that we're in today, my faith teaches me that love is the strongest force in the universe. Love is not passive. Love is not neutral. Love is not weak. Sometimes love requires that we stand between the bullies and the bullied. Love sometimes requires that we look evil in the eye and not blink. Love sometimes requires that we flip over the tables of injustice. That kind of love has always been a threat to the powers that be. In my experience, when you extend an open hand instead of a closed fist, you'll be surprised by who takes that hand. That's how I flipped a Trump district in a red county. That's how I passed major bills in a Republican-dominated body. And that is how we are going to flip this seat in Texas in November. If you hate politics and you've never voted before, you have a place in this campaign. If you've voted for Democrats, but you're tired of DC Democrats always folding, you have a place in this campaign. And if you voted for Donald Trump, but you are fed up with the extremism and the corruption in our government, you have a place in this campaign. A new kind of politics is possible. It's waiting to be born through all of us. And a movement that radiates that kind of love is unstoppable. I really appreciate that question because I think a lot of us sometimes doubt whether love is going to win, whether love can get us through. I know that kind of doubt. And I guess what I'm asking from all of you is faith. Whether you're religious or not, faith in that kind of love, because it's the only thing that's going to get us out of this mess.
All right. That's where I wanted to end today. And even in watching the chat, like, don't let shitty people make you shitty. Don't make shitty people make you hate people that you don't need to hate. I'm not trying to do a call out here. I'm really not. And I think that I'm in a position in my life, like I'm at a place in my life right now where I can't afford to hate. I can't afford to like have that in my heart. I can't afford to have hatred like rule my life right now because it can be devastating. It's devastating to you. And even then, like we play that clip, which I think is a beautiful message from Tallarico, and we view things so often, and this is a weird thing to say on a political live, but we view things so often through a political lens that we forget that there's another lens that we can look through, and it is like the lens of humanity. And I think that we're afraid of love sometimes. I think that we're afraid of empathy. I think that we're afraid of compassion because it means accepting things that we don't like. I just want to say I don't agree with that. Like, love is yours. You get to show love how you want to show love, and you can love people who make you angry. You can love people who are different than you. You can love people who hurt people. You can love people who hurt you. But Donald Trump has fucked us. He's turned us into an incredibly hateful group of people. And in some ways, maybe I feel lucky that that like in my own life right now, I don't have any more room for anything other than I've got to choose to like care about people. I've got to choose to care about people who hurt me the most. I've got to choose to care about people who don't give a fuck about me. And that can look like a lot of different things.
I can look at you. You can look at somebody who hurts you. You can look at somebody who has different views. You can look at somebody who hurts somebody else, and you can at least let your love guide your actions. Perhaps your love it means that you create distance. Perhaps your love means that you make them uncomfortable. Perhaps you love somebody who says something fucked up, and instead of saying, "I love this I hate that person. I can't be around them," that's fear talking. Like real love is, if you love somebody and they say or do something that's fucked up, you go and you fight. You fight for them. You fight with them. Fuck, you might fight against them. But it's got to be love. That's the only way we can win. Like people can talk election strategy all they want. It's not about an election in 2026 and 2028. It's about fixing culture. It's about healing a divide. And it's a really fucking hard thing to do, to choose to love. It's really, really fucking hard. I think all of us right now can think of people that we don't want to love. Hate is easy, but it's consuming. And so all I'm saying is like, I'm going to do a better job. It doesn't mean you don't criticize people. It doesn't mean you don't talk some shit. It means that your driving force has to be love. Your driving force has to be like, that's what I want for the world. Like I want the people around me. I want the world around me. I want everybody that I can affect for me to direct my actions towards them out of love. And sometimes that love is going to come out angry. You can be angry in love. You can be direct and also love. You can be compassionate in love. You can be empathetic in love. But it's if your driving force is hatred, then at its core, like you're never going to do any good. And I like watching politics, like it's a weird world to be in. Like living in a political world right now, it's different. When it gets heavy, like it feels different. And there's a part of me, if we're being frank, that just wants to withdraw and not be part of that world. But we have to be part of that world because it affects so many people. And so this is my encouragement, and this is what I'm going to say. Like, I'm going to slip and I'm going to stumble, and there's going to be days that I choose to hate. There's going to be days that I take the wrong approach. But I hope at least in this community and with this live, when we trip, when we stumble, that we take accountability and we try our very best to direct our emotions and our actions with love. However that may manifest, like that's got to re-enter our society because we don't have that. And I just want to point to this race specifically with Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. And that's why I wanted to show him. Because I have really, really liked James Tallarico. You all know my opinion on Christianity, on religion in general. I don't like when people weaponize their Christianity. It makes me sick. I think it's often manipulative. I think it's often persuasive to get you to fall in line. It's patriarchal, which I fucking hate. But this is a good man. And he has said some things recently that I question, that make me question his understanding of certain realities. But it's still a good man. And he's still out here pushing a message of love. And so the fact that he's up against Jasmine Crockett doesn't mean we have to hate him. I think Jasmine Crockett is a better candidate because Jasmine Crockett has better policies. We all make mistakes, and every last one of you, if you were running for office, you would fuck up. We all would. But give each and every one of us a microphone and put us in front of a camera or on a stage every day. Like, we're all going to fuck up. And it's good to hold him accountable. He should be held accountable for that. But the divisiveness amongst those on the left specifically bothers me. I'm used to it on the right, but I love and feel connected to the people on the left. And the way that we're dividing right now makes me sad. And I will just say this. In my personal life, like, I've been hurt by some people recently that are very, very close to me. The people that I love the most have hurt me. And I was angry and mad, and I've realized coming out on the other side of it, the only way for me to get through that is to choose to love the people that have hurt me and protect myself at the same time. And that's just my encouragement for all of you. Try it. Wherever you can love, love. It fucking matters. It fucking matters. It makes a fucking difference. Next time you go into a room full of people you don't like, just try it. See if you don't feel the energy change in that room. It does. And so I'm going to ask you guys to hold me accountable too. That if it starts sounding hateful and it's not the normal shit talk, because I do talk shit, I want you guys to hold me accountable. But there's politics, which are very real. There's election consequences in 2026, which are very, very fucking real. Perhaps as real as they get. But then there's also the reality of your life. There's the reality of your family. There's the reality of your neighbors. There's the reality of your community. So I'm just begging everybody, try to show a little bit more love. Don't let Donald Trump win. Don't let him divide. That man has no ability to love. He has no desire to love. He wants to divide, and he's made us all worse. I honestly don't think I've become a better person in politics since Trump came around. And anytime we get a little reprieve from him, I remember how free it kind of felt for a month or two after January 6th, where it felt like we had this little reset. And I could look at Republicans in the eye again and be like, all right, we good? We're not doing that shit anymore? They're like, we're good. We're not doing that shit anymore. Let's get back to arguing policy. And then Trump came back and it was fucked again. But let's do our best to follow those type of words and love. Once again, I appreciate all you guys reaching out to me this last week, and I apologize for making this personal at the end. I usually don't do that, but I also don't really have the ability to not wear my heart on a sleeve. And I think that you guys that watch me, you can tell that my heart is on my sleeve currently. So thank you for reaching out. Mods, great job today. Thank you guys for donations. Let me read these one more time. Namasi said, sent you a video explaining the baby eating claim. Got that. Would you talk to Wick TV? He was asking to talk to libs who agree with what Hassan said about voting third party if it came down to Newsom versus Vance. Sure. Have him DM me. Swampy said the last call from MJ and last video of Gabriela Rico Jimenez put in recent context really sticks with me. I don't send those to me. I'm actually not really, I might be just out of it. I'm not sure what you're referencing there. Got those. Tony said, you're a better man than me, buddy. Nah, man, I just got kicked in the fucking teeth. So sometimes you get kicked in the teeth and it humbles you. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow morning, every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you're watching. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, Twitch, no TikTok today. And turn on your alerts so you catch us when we go live. If you'd like to be a paid subscriber and join us for our members-only events, we have different types of memberships. Every level of membership gives you access to our member-only events. It's just a matter of how much you would like to donate. You have those on Twitch and YouTube. On Twitch, if you're new to Twitch and you have an Amazon Prime account, you can use your Amazon Prime account for a free membership on Twitch. So you use Jeff Bezos money, we get paid on that. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to watch ads. It's a cool experience. So if you have Amazon Prime and you watch on YouTube or somewhere else, go over to Twitch, drop your Amazon Prime login, and you can watch it over there, or just subscribe to help us out. Other than that, guys, I'll be back tomorrow morning bright and early. Take care of yourselves, love on your family, stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.